Hey everyone, welcome to FanFic Canon. Thanks for hitting play. I'm thrilled to bring this fan-made story to life for you. If you enjoy the ride and want more narrated fanfics, smash, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss an episode. And if you want audiobook of a novel of your choice, join my Patreon. Request any title that's freely available online, and I'll produce a full narration just for you. Now, let's dive into today's adventure.
The moment the Black Rabbit's voice faded, everyone's attention snapped back to the battlefield. At this point, few people doubted the outcome. With Jiayu and Asuka and the others holding holy swords, weapons that were utterly lethal to that orc, victory should have been decided by a single clean strike. The real question was this: would they even get the chance to land it? Jiayu and Asuka slowly walked over to Kasugabe. Her expression was complicated as she spoke, her voice carrying clear hesitation. Are you all right? Thank you for saving me just now." From the tone of her voice alone, it was obvious she felt deep guilt over what had happened. If she had been just a little more cautious, Kasugabe would never have been forced into such danger. Looking at the blood soaking Kasugabe's arm, Asuka felt her chest tighten. No matter how calm Yo appeared, Asuka could not suppress her self-blame. If she had not acted so carelessly, this situation might never have occurred. But in truth, this was not something Asuka could be blamed for. No one could have predicted that the rampaging beast would erupt with even greater power at such a critical moment. Kasugabe shook her head lightly and spoke in a calm, steady voice. "No, this isn't your fault. That monster suddenly unleashing such power was beyond anyone's expectations. Still, we need to be careful. That thing has become far more dangerous than before, and it's not something we can deal with casually anymore." There was no trace of anger in her voice. Yo understood the situation clearly. What happened earlier was not something Asuka could have foreseen, and the strength that beast displayed had surpassed all of their expectations. Worse still, it was continuing to maintain that terrifying state. This battle had just become much harder. Hearing Yo's words, Asuka straightened up, her hesitation fading. A confident smile returned to her face. "HMPH, it's too early to say that. Sure, that guy's stronger now, but if the two of us work together properly, we can still win." As she spoke, Asuka gave Kasugabe a quick, playful blink. Yo immediately understood what she meant. Letting out a small sigh, she nodded in agreement, her eyes firm. "That's true. As long as we stand together, even an enemy like that won't be a problem." As the girls' voices faded, they moved at the same time. Their feet pushed off the ground, and both of them charged straight toward the raging beast ahead. Their speed was not extraordinary, but against the enemy before them, it was more than enough. After all, for the two of them, this battle only needed a single decisive strike to end. On the surface, the fight looked extremely dangerous. In reality, it was not as complicated as it seemed. The Holy Cross swords in their hands were fatally effective against that beast. As long as the attack landed, the outcome would be decided. Watching from afar, Black Rabbit immediately reacted when she saw the two of them move together. Her voice rose in surprise. "They're moving at the same time. Does this mean the battle is starting again?" Her expression quickly turned serious. That beast is far stronger than before. Even if they can end it with one blow, they still need to be extremely careful. Although Black Rabbit believed in the newcomers and trusted that they could win, she could not help but worry. This kind of fight demanded caution. A single mistake could change everything. After all, the danger they faced earlier had already been caused by carelessness. If they had acted faster and more decisively back then, the battle might already be over. Just as Black Rabbit finished speaking, Luo Hao, who stood on the other side, spoke coldly. Clearly, his view was completely different from hers. Luo Hao had fought countless battles, both in this world and in the previous world of High School DxD. His combat experience was deep and hard-earned. Even the rampaging beast, which had long since lost its sanity, suddenly raised its head and let out a loud laugh. "HMPH, this is perfect," Luo Hao said calmly. "With their emotions running this high, they'll only grow braver as they fight." Back on the battlefield, the beast looked at the two girls charging toward him, laughing as if the entire situation were nothing more than a joke. To Black Rabbit, that laughter sounded absurd. What a ridiculous and pitiful enemy. She believed that excessive caution could dampen morale and slow their momentum. However, she also understood that someone with Luo Hao's experience had a sharper grasp of the situation. Both girls were already injured to varying degrees. The longer this battle dragged on, the worse it would become for them. Yet the beast's laughter echoed across the battlefield, strange and unsettling. Black Rabbit had rarely participated directly in such contests due to her lack of authority, but in the current situation, even she had to admit one thing. Luo Hao's judgment was likely the more accurate one. In the blink of an eye, at this time, the long-awaited Asuka, she and Kasuke Byo had already come to the violent beast. Their speed was so fast that even the raging beast was almost unable to react. After all that wild beast, he was still amused by the actions of these two powerless girls just now. After all, in his eyes, those two girls seemed to be very weak. There was absolutely no way to pose any threat to him, because now he has become more powerful. In this world, perhaps no one can stop his progress. Won the beast at this moment, this is how he thinks of himself. However, the actual situation is not as simple as imagined. And looking at this situation, the black rabbit who was standing in the distance watching the battle, she immediately made a surprised voice and said loudly, "Great, it's an opportunity. This guy is still laughing with confidence. As long as he succeeds in giving him a fatal blow in such an opportunity, the battle will already be won." Obviously, the black rabbit at this moment, her expression is very excited, because such a chance to decide the outcome of this battle is not much. And now is at such a critical moment, a moment of decisive victory, and listening to the black rabbit's words, Luo Hao at this time. There were also Isyoi and the others, but they still showed a rather calm attitude. Because this battle has not yet reached the final critical moment, no one can know the real outcome of this battle. Of course, he didn't say much at this time. It's just like what Black Rabbit said just now, maybe this battle has really reached the decisive point. And just when the raging beast was still laughing, "It's your turn, Kasuge Biao." At this time the violent beast finally reacted. 443, it's just that since Asuka is a long time ago, she and Kasuge Biao joined forces to launch this attack, so naturally she won't let the opponent stop it so easily. He raised his left and right hands, trying to protect him in front of him, making a defensive posture. I saw Ju Yuan Fei Nio at this time, she immediately called out loudly, "Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. It may be difficult to give those wild beasts a chance for a deadly attack again, if you miss such a crucial opportunity again." From the very beginning, this battle was not just a battle of Jiayu and Asuka, but a one-man battle. And with his ability, it is not too difficult to easily block this attack of Jiayu and Flying Bird, and saw the movements of the long-distance flying bird, the long-distance flying birds. Jiayu and Asuka, she also immediately waved the dazzling holy sword in her hand and stabbed the violent beast in front of her. And she herself never thought of relying on her own battle to win the battle, and heard the cry of the long-distance bird. Immediately at this time Kasuge Byo, she also responded to the other party's loud shout. "Don't worry, just leave it to me, I will definitely complete this task perfectly." As soon as Kasuge Byo's voice fell, she immediately slammed her feet on the ground and flew into the air. Then he kicked the violent beast heavily, making a roaring sound. And the beast that was originally going to take a defensive stance. Because of this powerful blow, he immediately cut off his original movement, exposing his belly at the point. And this time the battle came here, and it was already able to declare the victory of Jiayu and Asuka and the others. I saw Jiayu and Bird at this time, and she let out an angry shout. After that, she had already pierced the violent beast with a direct strike from the dazzling holy sword in her hand. Immediately, a powerful light and terrifying power burst forth. As for the violent beast that was hit, he also immediately let out an extremely painful howl at this time. Immediately, a ray of light ignited on his body. For him, who already has the power of a vampire hidden in his body, this cross-like holy sword is undoubtedly a weapon full of deadly threats to him, and he was hit by this weapon. There is no possibility of surviving at all, and immediately on his body an extremely violent flame is already burning. And after completing this blow, Jiayu and Asuka, she had to retreat suddenly at the same time as Kasuge Byo. A stable distance was opened up again with the orc. After all, the result of being so careless was that the situation was easily reversed by the other party. And this time, after learning the lessons of the previous situation, she didn't dare to stay in the same place again. Compared to the first round of battle, at this moment, they are infinitely more cautious. After all, this time they can't allow themselves to make any mistakes, because they have to win the first game for this community. Because if there is no victory in this game, there will be no future for this community, and saw that the holy sword was successfully hit on the violent beast. The black rabbit who was standing in the distance watching the battle, she also immediately showed an extremely excited expression, and immediately said loudly, "Great, it's finally a success, this time there shouldn't be any unexpected things happening again." After all, for that, it was already that violent beast with the power of vampire bloodline. If it was hit by that shining holy sword, there should be no possibility of surviving. At this moment, the Black Rabbit, after seeing the success of Jiayuan flying bird, she couldn't help but immediately showed an extremely excited expression and even called out loudly. This community finally ushered in a very long-lost victory. And listened to the words of the Black Rabbit. Those who belonged to Luo Hao who were standing beside Luo Hao only showed a shallow smile at this time. They also quite agree with what the Black Rabbit said. This battle, they have indeed won the victory, there is no doubt about this. And although their battle this time was of no use, but they were still quite happy for the victory of Jiayu and Asuka and others, because this is the real community. A community in which everyone will feel weal and woe is a truly qualified community. 443. So when Longyu and Asuka, they won the battle. Can't help it, even that Ria's. She also felt quite happy even if she did not participate in the battle herself. After all, this is a victory for her companions. And at this time Luo Hao, he was still with his arms folded in front of his chest, as if he was watching a play. At this time he just closed his eyes. However, from his small movements it is naturally easy to see. At this moment he also believes that this battle has not happened without any accident, and this time is their victory. It's just that Luo Hao didn't feel too happy about such a victory, because for him this is just the beginning. After winning this game, more and more powerful enemies in the back are the beginning of the real game, and only after experiencing those games, Luo Hao could gain more powerful power. There are more rewards from the system. Only those things are what Luo Hao really wants to have. Seeing the victory of Jiayu and Asuka and the others, he immediately slapped his hands together at this time of the Izuyoi reversal. There was a huge roar. Afterwards, he clenched his teeth and said with a look of excitement and anticipation. Although he was a little bit happy about the victory in this game at this moment, Izuyoi, they also looked at each other and then showed a shallow smile. Demon King Shirayasha. I don't know when I will also be able to meet an enemy that can compete with me. HMPH, watching them enjoy the joy of victory makes me jealous. At this time, he was also finally caught up in these intense brilliance and flames. There is also a set on that battlefield, I saw it at this time. That raging beast that was burning with fiery flames. At this moment Izuyoi, his goal is that extremely terrifying. The star of the night and the sun, I am the stronger being. When I also become stronger, I must let that Shirayasha know. Finally, he completely turned into ashes and disappeared from this world. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. But it is more about wanting to have a close game and battle by itself in order to get more opportunities for exercise. And after the battle was over, back to the community base camp belonging to Black Rabbit. At this moment, Kasugebyo, she was lying in a special infirmary for treatment. Although the level of technology in this world is not too high. However, if it is treated with some special means such as magic, the effect is still very significant. Although Kasugebyo at this time, she suffered a relatively large trauma in the previous battle, but even so she still recovered quickly at this time, although it will take some time to recover. But compared to the level of medical care on Earth, perhaps it will be more effective and swifter in this little garden world. And looked at Kasugebyo lying on the hospital bed. Immediately, at this time the Black Rabbit and Jiayu and Asuka, they also showed a worried expression at the same time. Although at this moment that long-distance flying bird, she knows the fight, it was not his own carelessness that caused such consequences. But even though she said that she felt a little self-blame in her heart, after all, although such a thing cannot be stopped if she is more careful. Maybe this kind of thing really won't happen at this time that long-term flying bird, she thinks so. As Luo Hao's family, the Rias at this moment, her senses are also very keen. Soon, at this time, she also noticed the change in Jiayu and Asuka's emotions. Before Rias at this time, she was quite worried about the feelings of the friend Jiayu and Asuka. I saw Rias at this time, she put her right hand on the shoulder of that long-distance bird. Then she spoke with a frown slightly. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with this battle. This accident was not caused by you, just look at it a little bit, and if you look at the medical level of this world, it doesn't take much time to reply, so don't worry too much. Listening to the words of Rias next to him, the Jiayu and Asuka at this time also had a slightly profiled face. Zero asked for flowers, shifting her gaze to her body, she then nodded her head and said, "Okay, I know. But there is no way to suppress such emotional matters so easily. I'm still very worried about his condition. And this kind of thing should have been avoided. It was all because of my mistakes that things like Jiang happened." Listen to the words of that long-ago bird. At this time Rias, she just continued to shake her head but did not continue to say anything more. On the other side in a rather special room, At this moment, Luo Hao, Nihui, Izyoi, and Black Rabbit, the three of them are discussing some things. Referring to the current time, Izyoi, he nodded and said, "So that's the case, the devil you are talking about is the vampire, isn't it? It turns out that what happened this time was caused by that guy, and this is really an inexplicable fire." She just showed a somewhat embarrassed expression. Indeed, even if we were to judge what happened this time from the perspective of Black Rabbit, but it still made him feel very speechless and embarrassed. Because if Lady Letitia wants to judge the strength of the new members of their current community, there is no need to use such 447 methods at all. And what he did this time was indeed a bit too much. No matter what he said, after all, Kasugebyo this time, she was seriously injured. If it weren't for the higher level of medical care in this Hakoniwa world, I'm afraid there is no way to recover in a while. If it is more dangerous, it may leave a dark disease. There is no way to evade such a thing. This time, what Letitia did was indeed a little too much. And along with the reversal of Izyoi's voice, the voice just fell. Immediately, Luo Hao at this time, he is also immediately, he said very disdainfully, "HMPH, no matter what his reasons are, doing is doing and he must bear the consequences for such a thing. I won't let that guy go easily, and so will you, Izyoi, right?" As Luo Hao's words just fell, he slightly shook his head, turning his eyes to the body of the reversed Izyoi. But feeling Luo Hao's gaze at this moment, he turned back to Izyoi. He also showed a shallow smile and then nodded slyly. Obviously, he and Luo Hao have the same idea. No matter the vampire named Letitia, she has what kind of reason, she still did something very bad for them, and now they will never let him go unpunished like this. In terms of judging these things, Luo Hao and Reverse Izyoi are two people. They always have an inexplicable tacit understanding. She did go a little too far. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Today's second update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers. What they cared about was Letitia's actions, which undoubtedly touched their dignity. There shouldn't be too much trouble, but the current Black Rabbit is unexpected. And listen to the conversation between Izyoi and Luo Hao, she thought so. At this time, the Black Rabbit, she could only sigh silently. Immediately, even if it is a Black Rabbit, she can't justify 6 at this time. And of course, they wouldn't just let that vampire go. This was an inevitable result. After all, Lady Letitia is one of the few nobles and demon kings in this world who have pure-blood vampires. They didn't care how badly Kasugebyo suffered. Now they will never let go of that vampire called Letitia so easily. A somewhat helpless expression appeared. But I believe in the strength of Letitia-sama. Indeed, as the two of them said this time, Lord Letitia. Perhaps this is the special tacit understanding that the strong should have. But just after Black Rabbit, the incident she had just lamented about this time, there was a loud bang and a deafening sound suddenly came from out of nowhere. As for Black Rabbit, her expression immediately became tense. I saw that at this time she immediately raised her head and said with great doubt, "What the hell is going on with this imagination? Are there any other members of the community that have invaded us? This is just too dangerous." Worrying about the one Black Rabbit, she immediately became vigilant at this time. He quickly stood up from the chair, then I didn't even think about it. She had already taken a step forward, walked out of this room and left here. And just when the Black Rabbit just left the room, back to Izyoi and Luo Hao, they both looked at each other and then sighed slightly. Obviously, he is also very clear about the current sound. What exactly happened? I saw Luo Hao at this time, he said directly. Come out, continue to hide, it doesn't make any sense, it's just that anyway. Then again, how dare you touch our majesty like this? It's a bit daring. At this moment, no one knew who he was talking to and who he was talking to. No one can't say no one knows, at least the Luo Hao who is also in this room. He was very clear about who Reverse Izyoi was talking to, and just in the back of Izyoi's voice just fell. Immediately, outside the window. A girl with blonde hair and a beautiful face. She fanned the black wings behind her and appeared in everyone's field of vision. Obviously, it was in the words that Izyoi said just now. That guy was referring to this vampire girl named Letitia. And this girl was the vampire girl who was deliberately creating difficulties for Luo Hao and the others. And at this time, the vampire girl, she also continued to flap her wings in the air. Made it harder for us this time around, right? If it wasn't for her actions, it would have been to face that raging beast. Nothing too difficult at all. While talking about the retrograde Izyoi at this time, then use his ability to control the surrounding tree trunks and directly break all the windows of this room. 447 at this time, Radisha, she also slowly entered this room. And looking at such a girl at this time, he immediately said back to Izyoi with a smile. Those gorgeous windows were already smashed by Baratish's ability. It made the difficulty of their battles skyrocket, and that Kasuge Byo was traumatized to a certain extent, but because of her presence. Today's third update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers. It's really daring to do such a thing without our consent. He also slapped his fists together heavily, making a sound, and continued to beat and fan the wings behind him. Thank you for reading this story at FictionZone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. When the sound of bite. In other words, you are doing things in secret, and listening to reverse Isyoi, there were some angry words. The vampire girl named Letitia with that facial expression at this time, she still just continued to be expressionless. At this moment, it was as if the reversal of any words that Isyoi said. There is no way to make her have any shreds of emotional fluctuations, even in her heart. Maybe she didn't feel guilty for what happened before. She might even feel that she made the right choice. I saw that at this time, the vampire girl named Letitia continued to speak. I am deeply sorry about your companions, but in order to test your strength, this is an essential thing, but even after the last battle. I also clearly understand some of your strengths. As far as the current situation is concerned, I still hope to choose to persuade you. That guy's community is not something you can contend with right now. Obviously, she was at this time. Letitia, she came to reverse Isyoi, the community they were in, not just to test their strength, the real purpose. I'm afraid, but to persuade them to give up the fight, and the words of that Letitia. Immediately. At this time of the retrograde Isyoi, his brows were also slightly wrinkled together. No matter how good his temper was, his anger rose directly at this time. I saw that at this time of the reversal of Isyoi, he directly said loudly to the vampire girl in front of him. HMPH, you guys are really annoying. Who do you think is standing in front of you? It's this uncle, it's the reverse of the 16th night. A mere opponent like me can't be my enemy at all, and I haven't settled the bill with you the last time. Do you think you can fool yourself like this? Originally, it was Isyoi who felt quite unconvinced about the previous events. At this time, he didn't have to think about it. Starting the battle directly is the real right way. At this time, Isyoi, he thought so, do not. If he was a little more impulsive, I'm afraid he would have started fighting now. Now this is the situation. Perhaps he was lucky that he didn't do it right away. And Luo Hao, who was standing beside Nihui Isyoi, he also had the same rather displeased expression, although he did not say it directly at this time, but even so he still felt quite dissatisfied. To that girl named Letitia, I saw Luo Hao at this time, he said with a slight frown, HMPH, it's really a piece of shit, do you underestimate our strength like that? It would be naive to judge the strength of the two of us just from the last ranked game. There is a qualitative difference between me and those two girls in strength. If you just judge our strength from those two girls, but I can only is Zhao enough to say that you are too naive. Obviously. Luo Hao at this time, he was quite dissatisfied with Letitia's words, especially the fact that the other party underestimated his own strength. The other side, she was just from the last game. Judging his own strength based on the performance of Jiu Yuan Fei Nio and others, this is what makes Luo Hao really dissatisfied. And listen to what Luo Hao said. Immediately at this time, the Radition vampire. She also frowned slightly, and then she whispered with a complicated expression. There is a qualitative gap with those girls. Could it be that this guy has power beyond my imagination? Obviously, Letitia at this time, she was quite concerned about what Luo Hao said just now. Just like what Luo Hao said just now, even she herself felt that if it was only from the last game. Judging the strength of Luo Hao and others from the bodies of those two girls is indeed a bit too arbitrary. And with the moment Luo Hao's voice just fell. The same goes back to Isyoi at this time. 447 he also said directly and very angrily. HMPH, I don't have any time to waste words with this guy, just come and start the fight. Obviously, at this time of the retrograde Isyoi, he didn't want to waste any words with this guy at all. After all, she was able to say such words, and if she continued to waste her words, there was absolutely no meaning in these aspects. Compared to the continued conversation, Isyoi at this time is the reverse. He thinks that it may be a more direct, convenient, and quick way to fight directly. And listening to the words that reverse Isyoi said, and the vampire girl named Letitia at this time. She also closed her eyes slightly and then said, HMPH, do you want to fight directly? But that's fine. Originally, I came here to see the power you possess. It really doesn't make much sense to waste so many words just now. Rather than talking, it would be better to fight directly. At this time, Letitia, she and reverse Isyoi had the same opinion. She came to this community of black rabbits for the purpose of testing. Luo Hao and reverse Isyoi are only the strength of two people. And now it just happens to be an opportunity. The vampire girl named Letitia at this time, Abby. Immediately, she used her ability to attack all the huge tree trunks around her towards the counter Izioi in front of her. Although such an attack does not have much threat and offensive power, but if you use this method to test the ability of the other party, it is a good way. Her goal is not to win, but to see these two teenagers joining the community. What kind of strength they have, this is what really makes Letitia care. It's just that the opponent's attack in this form is reversed to Izioi at this time. He just immediately showed a rather displeased expression and said loudly, HMPH, is this the only level of attack? If that's the case, I'm really disappointed. MJU4NDA20C3 Autumn Furrand MWMDCZ OJK equals I thought you were a strong person, but I didn't expect it to be this level. What a disappointment. It is not difficult to hear from the words of Izioi that he is quite dissatisfied with Letitia's ability at this moment. At this moment, the reverse of Izioi, what he expects is a wonderful, evenly matched and powerful battle, not such a child's play. Drink. Accompanied by an angry shout from the reverse return Izioi, soon, he was already punching himself violently towards the tree trunks in front of him. There was a loud rumbling and those mighty trunks were thorough, under his punch. The directly turned ashes even caused an extremely huge roar and shock wave, and seeing his own attack, he would be resolved so easily by the opponent. Even the other party didn't spend much effort at all. At this time, Letitia also immediately showed a surprised expression. This is far beyond her imagination. The original Letitia, she thought that no matter how powerful this young man was, it won't be much stronger than the long-term flying bird before. But from the current situation, it is somewhat beyond Letitia's imagination. Seeing Letitia at this time, she also immediately showed a rather surprised expression and exclaimed, Okay, what a powerful force. What the hell happened to this boy? How could a human boy possess such power? It's just kind of incredible. At this moment, Letitia, she also made an incredible voice at this time. After all, even she was quite surprised by the reversal of a mere human being Izioi. This human boy, he actually possesses such ability. This is almost impossible for an ordinary human being. And the other side heard the violent, roaring sound. The black rabbit in the room and Luo Hao's family members immediately reacted. What a strong roar, what happened? There's been a lot of weird stuff going on here lately. But the voice just fell with the voice of the black rabbit. Immediately afterwards, Black Rabbit and others at this time. They also stepped forward, started quarreling, made a loud noise and started running in the direction of the room. There was a loud bang and at this time the Black Free. She couldn't imagine what happened in this place just now. She pushed open the door of the room forcefully, but what caught her eye surprised her. At this moment, this originally incomparably luxurious room has become a mess. And Letitia-sama, what the hell is going on here? Obviously, he was going back to Izioi at this time. In other words, your partner's education is really average. It is really naive to try to use such an ability to fight against me. This is exactly what happened to the Black Rabbit at this time. We have already started fighting here. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. The shards of glass shattered and scattered on the ground, looking as if they had been destroyed. He really looked down on this girl named Letitia, and standing in the middle of the venue Izioi Luo Hao, asked for flowers. And looking at the arrival of the Black Rabbit, at this time of the retrograde Izioi, he also turned his face slightly, then looked at the Black Rabbit and said with a smile, and listened to Izioi's words. At this time of the Black Rabbit, she is also immediately. Once again, extremely shocked, showing a surprised expression. She had no way of imagining that just now, that reversed Izioi. He had already started a battle with Lady Letitia. And what made Haimun even more unbelievable was that he actually said such disdainful words when he returned to Izioi. And also 447 and that Lady Letitia are evenly matched. But soon, at this time, the Black Rabbit who had already reacted, she was extremely angry again and said loudly and angrily towards the retrograde Izioi in front of her. What the hell are you talking nonsense about, Izioi? Lady Letitia, she hasn't seriously fought yet. If she fought seriously, how could she only have so little power? Lady Letitia, she is a demon lord. Obviously, his Black Rabbit at this time, she felt quite dissatisfied with the words of the reversal of Izioi. After all, as the demon lord Letitia-sama, how could she only have such a small amount of power? The battle just now, Lady Letitia, she hadn't used her power at all. It's just that even if he went back to Izioi like this, he was still able to suppress Letitia-sama's skills so clearly. This surprised the Black Rabbit quite a bit, and listened to the words of the Black Rabbit, immediately. At this time of the retrograde Izioi, he also showed an excited expression and said, Hey, hasn't this guy used all his power yet? This is really getting more and more interesting. I'm very curious if this guy used all his strength to fight. What kind of scene will it be? What a powerful enemy, the so-called Demon King. I also want to see it. After hearing Black Rabbit's words at this moment, Izyoi was reversed. Not only did he not feel any trace of fear or surprise, even. He was still excited at this time. He wanted to see what kind of power the so-called real Demon King had, and listening to the words of Black Rabbit and reverse Izyoi. Even Letitia, who was a no-brained girl, showed a somewhat surprised and speechless expression at this time. Immediately, he hung his mouth. And the Black Rabbit, who came back to her senses, she also continued, looking at Lord Letitia in front of her with incomparable curiosity and surprise, and said, "According to common sense, 2-6, haven't you already become the property of that community? Lord Letitia, how could you be in such a place?" She didn't expect to go back to Izyoi after he learned the truth. Perhaps this community can really return to its peak period, once said here. No, I almost forgot. Today's fourth update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support the readers. Your words are a bit inappropriate, but still able to have such a speech. It seems that this young man really has incredible power. At this time, the Black Rabbit, she seemed to react immediately. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net, your support enables us to keep the site running. If so, this is how the same thing. In the community of Black Rabbit, if there is such a powerful existence, she would be relieved a lot. Letitia, when she thought of this, she was unconsciously at this time. Unable to bear at this time of Letitia, she also continued to show a shallow smile. Soon at this time of the retrograde 16 nights, Luo Hao and Black Rabbit, as well as the vampire named Letitia, several of them have already come to the open space outside this community, just like what they said before. The current Letitia, she wants to personally test the true power of these troubled children, because only after confirming their energy can Letitia entrust this community to them with confidence. After all, the current community. If there is no strong power as a backing support, there is not much power at all. And if so, perhaps disband the community in advance. It is a really correct choice one. Letitia at this time, she thinks so, and Luo Hao's family members. At this time, they also stood in the same place watching the play. I saw that at this time, they crossed their hands on their chests, looking at the battle as if they were watching a play. But for them, this battle is really just like a drama just in general, and more importantly, for them, this battle, in fact, they still have a full 10th of victory. And the so-called test power, of course, for them, it's just a slightly better drama, only. Look at the petite blonde girl. Ria's, her brows are also slightly wrinkled. She can't imagine. Was the guy who did things the last time such a cute girl? I can't help it. Seeing Ria's at this time, he also muttered. By the way, that young girl, is she also a vampire? As for Letitia's identity, Ria's at this time was also a little surprised, and staring at the words of Ria's next to him, immediately. At this time, the Black Rabbit, she also showed a somewhat proud expression and said, "Yes, Lord Letitia, she is a knight in this small garden world, a noble and pure vampire. And not only that, he is also one of the demon kings in this little garden world. He is also a very reliable companion for us." She also lowered her head unconsciously, revealing a pity and pain expression. For him, the real fun is yet to come. Looking at the open field battlefield, back to Izyoi and the vampire girl. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net, your support enables us to keep the site running. She wanted to comfort the companion, but she didn't know what to say. After all, she didn't know exactly what happened. So at this time, he did not have too many emotional changes. It's just that now, for some reason, it has become an item of other people's community, and saw such a black free. As for the outcome of the battle, he was extremely clear in his heart. Today's first update, ask for a wave of full subscription support, please readers, for your support. At the same time, Luo Hao at this time was watching the show with the same expression, looking at the two people on the battlefield. At this time, she could only turn her attention to the open space once again. Just like everyone else, he just treated the battle with a show-like attitude. She was a little curious as to how much fighting would break out between the two of them. There is no way. At this time, Ria's, she also showed a somewhat embarrassed expression at the same time. When it comes to this, the Black Rabbit at this time, I saw at this time on the battlefield, looking at the blonde girl in front of me. He also spoke confidently towards the vampire girl in front of him when he returned to Izyoi. Hey, I heard that you are the demon lord, right? But judging from the way I fought with you just now, you don't seem to be worthy of such a title and power. Or maybe you didn't use your full strength to fight me at all. If that's the case, I can't let you go. As soon as Izyoi's voice fell, he already clenched his fists and assumed a fighting stance. For a strong man like him, the most annoying thing is to be underestimated by others, and in the battle just now. That vampire girl, he didn't use all his power to fight against Izyoi, that's why he felt angry. For men, dignity is also an extremely important part, and listen to each other's words. Immediately, at this time the girl named Letitia also opened her mouth. In the battle just now, I just wanted to test your strength. Not using full power is my problem. It's just that I didn't expect that you, a mere human being, could have such a powerful power. It's incredible, maybe I can put my hope in you. Obviously, the girl at this time did not feel the slightest apology. It should be said that this girl, she seems to be not very good at expressing emotions. Only, conversely, at this time, she was also shocked by the powerful power that Reverse Izyoi possessed. Even at this time, she also saw hope in Reverse Izyoi and saw the future of this community and listened to the words of that Letitia. Immediately, at this time of the retrograde Izyoi, he only felt even more anger. I saw that at this time, he immediately said sharply. HMPH, what I hate most is guys like you who always feel like you're superior. At this moment, he can't wait to fight. Liz, now the Black Rabbit, she is skeptical about this matter. More defeat the so-called demon lord in front of you. The current Letitia-sama, does she really have the power of a demon lord? At this time, the Black Rabbit, she also held her forehead with one hand, showing a somewhat uncomfortable expression, some helpless. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Black Rabbit at this moment. Although his power is indeed very strong, but if you have to face a demon king like Letitia, it is still a bit. She didn't say all of her words. I saw such a reversal of Izyoi again. If you like to do it best, beat you guys. Because when he said this, he suddenly discovered a very important thing. He also slammed his fists together again and made a huge noise. And listening to the voice of the Black Rabbit suddenly stopped. The Rhea standing beside him, she also slightly turned her face at this time and immediately said in doubt, "What's the matter? Why did the Black Rabbit suddenly stop talking? Why do I feel like you suddenly noticed something very important?" At this moment, Rhea's, she was also able to clearly detect the slightest smell in the Black Rabbit's body. Rhea's senses are extremely sharp. At this moment, his judgment was extremely correct. The Black Rabbit at this moment, she did discover something special at this moment of crisis. 450 and the voice that accompanied Rhea's just fell. The long-term flying bird on the other side, she also immediately spoke at this time. Actually listening to what you said, and I always feel as if something more dangerous is happening. That girl named Letitia. Is there something mysterious about her? Similarly, at this time Ju Yuan Fei Nio, she also issued such a question. And listening to the question of these two girls, the Black Rabbit at this time is also, the voice said in a low voice. Abke, the current Letitia-sama, he has become something of another community, and if it's normal. Whether he can still retain the godhead of the Demon King is still questionable. In other words, now that Lady Letitia, she may not be as powerful and terrifying as before. With the Black Rabbit's voice just fell. She also lowered her head once again, showing a very worried expression, and after listening to the words of the Black Rabbit, immediately, at this time Kayuan, Asuka and Rhea's also looked at each other and then showed a somewhat complicated expression, after seeing the power of Shirayasha. They are also very clear. It's just that when everyone just finished the conversation, Luo Hao at this time, he also opened his mouth and said, "His strength is only the icing on the cake, and perhaps it is not the icing on the cake. Just relying on me is enough for most combat situations. Whether she was deprived of divine status in the end, such a thing, what a sad thing this is. Because for him, these things are not worth caring about at all." I finished listening to Luo Hao's words, the Black Rabbit at this time. She thought so too, but now even that precious divinity is gone. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Obviously, Luo Hao at this time didn't care about Letitia at all. But when she knew this fact, she couldn't help but sigh. And according to the current situation, maybe things are a little too bad. Today's third update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers. After all, the former Lady Letitia was their pride. Losing the godhead of the Demon King is indeed a very critical and tense matter. In this world, what exactly does the Demon King mean? It doesn't matter, our community doesn't necessarily need her strength. And go back to the battlefield where Izyoi and Letitia were the two of them. Immediately, at this time Letitia, she also took out a huge knight's spear from nowhere. The air ripped apart by the long spear in her waving hand broke through the sound barrier and made a booming sound. Just from the way she wields the spear, it was already possible to see how powerful the power she possessed. Just physical fitness is already far beyond ordinary people. It's just that this kind of physical ability may still be a little fishy compared to you and 16 pages. After all, go back to Izuyoi. Just relying on his own physical quality, he is already able to fight against most of the enemies and even the Demon King. And looking at the retrograde Izuyoi in front of him. At this time, Letitia, she also spoke immediately. Test your strength. The rules of the game are simple. We took turns throwing our spears. If one side is unable to accept the attack of the other side, whichever side wins. As Letitia's voice just fell, she was already fanning the jet black wings behind her. Fly into the air, she made a gesture of about to attack, and listened to Letitia's words. At this time the back of Izuyoi, the corner of his mouth rose slightly, and then he said, HMPH, such a simple rule is pure simplicity, looking at absolute combat power. That's interesting, just want to see my absolute power. If that's the case, let me show you how powerful my power is, the so-called Demon King. The voice just fell along with the reversal of Izuyoi, suddenly. He has already clenched his right fist, and his feet firmly grasped the ground under his feet. It is also a posture that is ready to meet the enemy at any time, and looking at the ground, it was already the reversed Izuyoi in a pose. Immediately. At this time, Letitia also raised the spear in her hand high. He concentrated his terrifying power on it and shone out an incomparably dazzling red light. At this time, Letitia had already attacked the huge spear in her hand immediately. At an unbelievable speed, he ran towards the reverse Izuyoi in front of him. Thank you for reading this story at FictionZone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. But looking at the menacing huge spear, at this time he turned back to Izuyoi, but the corners of his mouth rose slightly. It is already able to feel the extremely terrifying power. Boom, loudly. Such terrifying power seems to be able to penetrate everything in the world. Today's fourth update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers. The strong general was thrown out at an extremely fast speed, directly tearing the air, breaking the sound barrier, and producing an extremely huge roaring sound. And back to Izuyoi, he was about to face such a terrifying power. There is no meaning to hesitate. He showed a rather disdainful expression and said, HMPH, the so-called Demon King is the same but has this level of power. It really disappoints me. Ask for flowers. There is no such thing in this world and there are people who can stop it. The power of terror is concentrated here, only to be seen from a distance. Obviously, for Letitia's attack, at this moment he felt extremely disappointed. At the moment when Izuyoi raised his right hand, the mighty spear thrown by Letitia was already in front of him. Boom, powerful sound and shock waves. Immediately at this time, it spread out with the reversal of Izuyoi as the center. The ground even listed incomparably huge cracks at this time, just from these landscapes. It was already enough to see that Letitia said 4 or 5 zeros. How terrifying the power of this blow. But what's even more incredible is that, in the face of such a terrifying blow at this time, Izuyoi went backwards. He was extremely relaxed and stopped it. That powerful spear is still continuously releasing terrifying power at this time, but even that terrifying power. But there is still no way to hurt you to go back to June 1 cent. It didn't even work at all. And at this moment, the reverse of the 16th night. After he successfully blocked the blow, he spoke with disdain. HMPH, it's really disappointing. Is this the so-called Demon King's power? It is not a star and a half from the previous White Yaksha. Then again, it is also the Demon King and there are still some gaps. Without any disguise, it was the retrograde Izuyoi at this time. He also spoke out what was in his heart, and saw this scene. The black rabbit in the distance, she also showed an extremely shocked expression. I saw that at this time she was immediately amazed and worth saying. You went back to that guy Izuyoi, but once again you easily blocked Lord Letitia's attack. That guy's power is really like a bottomless abyss. Generally, there is no limit at all. Obviously, High Rabbit was also extremely shocked by the power radiated by the reverse return Izuyoi. Even Black Rabbit, she has long known the terrifying power this guy possesses. But when she saw it again, she still couldn't help but exclaimed. It was just when Black Rabbit's shocking words just fell. The Luo Hao on the other side, he also said, HMPH, it's only this level. 0, that's not even a power at all, and see here. Black Rabbit, you should know it too. At this time, the Black Rabbit, she finally reacted to 6 meters. Very simple. Thank you for reading this story at FictionZone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. With the Black Rabbit's voice just fell. Immediately, indeed, as Luo Hao said, the Lord Letitia at this moment. Now that vampire girl, she no longer has the divine personality of a demon king. At this time, the Black Rabbit, she also lowered her head. Today's first update, ask for a wave of full subscription support. Please readers for your support. At this time, Luo Hao was extremely clear and judged the current state of the vampire girl, just from some details. But the state of the vampire was indeed very obvious. With a rather sad face, and with this Luo Hao's voice just fell, she should have lost the strength of such a terrifying demon king now. Now he's just an ordinary vampire, and at the same time. Looking at Black Rabbit's expression, standing beside him are Luo Hao's family members, and the far-flung birds. They also showed a somewhat complicated expression at this time, at this moment. They all want to comfort the Black Free, but he didn't know what to say. Because for the current situation, it is difficult for them to judge specific things. Perhaps all they can do now is to show a somewhat sad expression as well. Only. In fact, for Letitia-sama, he no longer has the divine personality of the Demon Lord, one they didn't care much. After all, for them, there is no need to use the power of Redisia at all. Here, we only need to use two terrifying guys, Luo Hao and Reverse Izoi. They all believed that the strength of Lord Luo Hao was absolute existence. No enemy can be their opponent. And they still have quite a bit of room to grow. No one can imagine how powerful they will become in the future. And back to the battlefield of the two people, Redisia and Izoi, the one who looked at him condensed his full force. It was unexpectedly blocked by this man so easily, even Letitia, who was the Demon King. She also showed a very surprised expression at this time. It's so powerful, it's impossible for such a powerful force to appear in an ordinary human being. This is simply incredible. I have absolutely no way to imagine that a mere ordinary human being can possess such terrifying strength. This is simply a violation of common sense, just said here. Redisia at this time, she at this time. It was once again showing a somewhat reassuring expression, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Then she spoke slowly. But if it is this strength, I can trust this community to him with confidence. While speaking at this time in Letitia, he also turned his attention to Luo Hao. Now all that's left is this guy. Judging from my feeling, there is still the power that Izoi exerted at that time. The strength of this man should be beyond compare. But seeing Letitia shifted her gaze. At this time, he was also quite displeased in the reversal of Izoi and immediately said, "You guy, where are you looking at 453? During the battle, don't let me divert your gaze casually, you so-called demon lord." As soon as the voice of your returning to Izoi fell, he immediately condensed the strength of his whole body. Boom! With a loud bang, he had already bounced back the huge spear just now, only at this time. At this time, the huge spear ripped through the air, broke the sound barrier, and flew towards Letitia at an extremely terrifying speed. And look at that powerful blow. At this time, Letitia, she also immediately showed an extremely surprised expression and said in shock, "What a powerful force. I can't believe that this is actually the aura and attack emanating from a human being. Even if it is my words, I am afraid that I will not be able to survive this blow." As Letitia's voice just fell, immediately. At this time, she had already fanned the wings behind her to make a dodging gesture. Subsequently, she also successfully avoided the attack of Izoi's counterattack just now, and watching Letitia successfully avoid his own attack. Immediately, this is the reverse of Izoi. He also continued to show a rather disdainful expression. "HMPH, did you actually dodge my attack? Looking at it, the so-called Demon King is nothing more than that. Compared with that guy Shirayasha, it is not a star and a half, feels really bad. Obviously." At this time of retrograde Izoi, he still didn't know the current Letitia. He had lost his original godhead. At this time, he just thought that the power of this so-called Demon King had disappointed him a little too much. It's not the same level as Shirayasha, who I said to deal with before, and seeing even that Lady Letitia, she also had to avoid attacks. The Black Rabbit, who was standing in the distance watching the battle, she also immediately showed an extremely shocked expression and said with a shocked expression, "Impossible, even the current Lady Letitia. She has already lost the godhead of the Demon King." But going back to Izoi, he was still able to defeat her. Where is the limit of this man? At this moment, the Black Rabbit, she couldn't believe the fact that this happened in front of her eyes. And back to Izoi, she was able to fight that Demon King Shirayasha to that extent, which was enough to shock the Black Rabbit. But I didn't expect it to be nothing. After all, if this community is to be led, it is not enough just to have his own strength. She had already recreated a huge spear in her own hands. Another need to test is Luo Hao's strength. What kind of monster did she summon? And listen to Izoi's shocked words. Today's third update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers. This kind of thing is simply shocking and can't be shocked anymore. It's so outrageous that it can't be described anymore. Put on a fighting stance. What kind of monster did you summon to this world? As Letitia's voice just fell, but now she still has to ask herself again. Accompanied by the words of Radisha, the voice just fell. Immediately, everyone on the field immediately showed a very shocked expression. They didn't think of it at all. Letitia, she actually said such words. Seeing the black rabbit at this time, she immediately spoke in disbelief. No way, Letitia-sama actually want to test the strength of that guy together. This kind of behavior is meaningless at all. Why should you be obsessed with such a problem? Obviously, the black rabbit at this time couldn't understand Letitia's behavior. And the same. At this time, Izyoi, after listening to the other party's words. Following that, he also showed a somewhat unexpected expression at this time and said, "Oh who, do you actually want to challenge that demon king? At first, I was a little angry about your attitude. After all, you have little respect for your enemies. But since you want to challenge the demon king in place, that's another story. Whatever you want, your strength can't make me excited anyway." He waved his right hand slightly. At this time of the retrograde Izyoi, he also walked to the side of Black Rabbit and others. For him, this battle is enough. That girl named Letitia, the power she has. It didn't make Reverse Izyoi pay a lot of attention. Even it didn't cause him the slightest bit of concern at all, and came to the side of Black Rabbit and others. Listening to them, they felt that very incredible words. At this time Izyoi, he also said immediately, "What the hell are you nervous about? That guy, she is here to persuade us to give up the community and challenge this plan. That guy, he really underestimates our strength. I can't just make him want to see it like that." From the words of Reverse Izyoi, I could also feel the slightest trace of anger. From the expression on Izyoi's face, I can see that he is very obviously unhappy, and along with the reversal of Izyoi's voice, the voice just fell. Same. At this time, the Black Rabbit, she also said with a slight frown. "To persuade us to abandon this community, why Letitia-sama, she have such an idea? What did she go through to bring about such a change? Why did things develop into this posture? Since that game, things have gotten really weird. Why can't we go back to the way we were before?" The more she went on, the lower the mood of the Black Rabbit at this time. She is desperate to go back to the good old days. Unfortunately, it may no longer be possible now. And his eyes shifted to Luo Hao, after listening to the words of Letitia. Look at his fighting stance. Later, Luo Hao at this time, he also said with some disdain, "HMPH, you want to see my power? Funny, it's been a long time since I met someone who could speak like that, but someone who said that to me once. Except for Shiryasha, all of them have already been defeated by me, even you are no exception." With Luo Hao's voice just fell, immediately. At this time he had already raised his right hand. Scarlet Dragon Emperor's Cage, blade like fire, with an order, in the blink of an eye. At this time Luo Hao's right hand was already burning violently. Then the dragon-like hands and feet covered his right arm, and her right hand was also holding a jet-black long knife. Luo Hao at this moment, he has already entered the state of battle. Looking at the Luo Hao in front of him, his right hand was already covered by a dragon-like gauntlet, and the jet-black Zanpakuto in his hand. At this time Letitia, she also said with a little exclamation, "Although the battle hasn't started yet, it looks like you have some pretty awesome weapons." Obviously, just from the feeling from what the eyes see at this time Letitia, she was already able to feel it very clearly, it came out. The weapon held in Luo Hao's hand was stronger. The strength of this guy, very not to be underestimated. At this moment, Letitia has only one thought in her heart, and listened to what Letitia said. Immediately, at this time Luo Hao also raised his brows slightly. Then at this time, he also continued to speak indifferently. "HMPH, it seems that you still have some eyesight. Just want to test my strength, will choose a very wrong decision." It was obvious that Radisha wanted to test her own strength. Luo Hao at this time was also quite dissatisfied. After all, he was not used to this feeling of being tempted. As a king, he is not used to other people using this attitude to talk to him, and listen to what Luo Hao said. The Black Rabbit, who was standing in the distance watching the battle, she also immediately showed a somewhat nervous expression at this time. Obviously, at this time she was worried about Lady Letitia, although Luo Hao and Reverse Izyoi. Both of them are existences with quite terrifying strength, but if you really want to compare them, the Black Rabbit at this time, she thought Luo Hao at this time was more terrifying, and along with Luo Hao's voice just fell. Immediately. On the other side of Reverse Izyoi, he also said with a smile, "HMPH, I don't know what to say at this time. That guy is really whimsical, and he wants to test the strength of me and that guy at the same time. I don't know, it should be said that he is too confident or too stupid. What I have to say is that at this moment, Izuku Izyoi is in reverse. He really looked down on that Radishan girl. It doesn't matter what the reason is for her actions this time. And in the battle just now, she really had no way to make Rei Hui Izyoi fight seriously. This is also a fact. On the other side, Letitia at this time, she had once again fanned the black wings behind her and flew into the air. Then her slender right hand was hard, and in her clenched hand the huge spear. Ask for flowers, she poured all her strength into it. Boom, a loud bang, red and black lightning is blooming out at this time. From these phenomena, it is already possible to see the power of this blow. I'm afraid it will be compared to when I fought against Izyoi just now. In terms of strength, it is more powerful. But this is also very normal. After seeing the power of Izyoi just now, at this moment Letitia, she also did not dare to have any slightest carelessness. Because of Letitia at this time, she is also very clear. Those two problem children, what kind of terrifying power does it have? However, even with such a powerful force, in Luo Hao's eyes, he was just as small as a worm. After all, it's different in Letitia, an existence that will become weaker if it loses the demon lord godhead. Luo Hao at this moment, he is an absolutely powerful and real demon king. HMPH, your so-called power is nothing but that in my eyes. With Luo Hao's voice just fell. Immediately, the Zanpakuto named Ryurin Ryuhyu in his hand is also a flame that burns more vigorously. With Luo Hao's voice just fell. Immediately, at this time he was already extremely relaxed and swung the Zanpakuto in his right hand directly. This was followed by the swing of the Zanpakuto in his right hand. Immediately, rumble, a loud noise. An extremely powerful flame burst out at this time. The raging flame seemed to be able to burn up everything in the world. With an incomparably powerful and fiery temperature, he flew towards the spear thrown by Letitia in front of him and went 4-5-3. Just a random blow. At this time, Luo Hao already possessed the power to destroy the world, incredibly scary and terrifying, and feel the extremely rising temperature around. At this moment, everyone present, including the black rabbit who was watching from a distance. At this time, she couldn't help but exclaimed, "What a terrible temperature and such power, that guy Luo Hao. When he used his power, he didn't even look at the surrounding environment at all. It was too much. We have been severely affected here." Actually, for Luo Hao's power and fighting style, Black Rabbit, she was very clear and understood early on. Only, when this happens again, she still couldn't help but complain, and more importantly, this time the enemy who appeared in front of them was the former Lady Letitia. This made the Black at this moment even more uncomfortable, and, obviously, for such a powerful force as Luo Hao, at this moment that Black Rabbit, she also felt very dissatisfied, only even so she could only talk like this. In fact, she didn't dare to say too much about Luo Hao's words. After all, Luo Hao's power is indeed too strong. The current community desperately needs his help. Even, it can be said, if there is no such man, their community will become meaningless. In addition to saying these now, in fact, the real meaning is not too big. Black Rabbit is just a little spit. And as the family members of Luo Hao, Ria's, she was surprisingly calm at this time. For such a scene, she seems to have seen it too many times. So at this moment, she didn't have too many emotional fluctuations or any shock at all. Even at this time, she said with admiration. It seems that Luo Hao, of course, did not deliberately hide his power in this battle. But this is the real Lord Luo Hao. Even if he is not a real opponent, he will really use his full power to zero. On the other side, he also said with a sigh at this time of Izyoi. At this moment, Letitia felt more and more suspicious about what was happening around her. He felt quite suspicious about Letitia's behavior. The voice just fell along with the reversal of Izyoi. He had to pick out that guy's power to try. Okay, such a scorching temperature as if the surrounding space was evaporated. I don't know, it should be said that he is too confident or too arrogant. This magical power is really too powerful. Why does this person have such a powerful magical power in his hands? At this time, he slightly shrugged his shoulders and showed a somewhat speechless expression. Today's second update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers. And, simply bizarre, back in Letitia's perspective, she felt the incomparably hot flame temperature. At this moment, she also showed a 2-6 rather surprised expression, or maybe she's too stupid. Thank you for reading this story at FictionZone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. When I came up, I talked so much about myself and I didn't explain what it was. I have to say, that guy's choice was not very wise. Under normal circumstances, such a thing cannot happen at all. But soon at this time, Radisha, she showed a shallow smile and nodded. But if it's that kind of power, that's really great. With the help of those two men, this community can be invincible. Even if you encounter such an enemy, you will never lose again. Now I can really rest assured. Obviously, after knowing Luo Hao at this moment and reverse Izyoi, after knowing the terrifying and powerful strength of the two men, At this moment, Letitia finally felt relieved. Originally, she was still worried about the combat power of the Black Rabbit community. Be according to the current situation of one, or you don't need to worry about it at all. The terrifying strength of those two men completely surpassed my imagination. Originally, she felt disappointment and crisis because of the weakness of the community. At the beginning, she also hoped that the community could be dissolved and no more games and battles. If that's the case, it's really the best option. After all, there is no need for that incomparably dangerous battle anymore, but in the battle just now. Letitia, after she saw Luo Hao back to the 16th night, the two peoples terrifying to the ultimate strength. Immediately, his idea also produced a big 360-degree rotation. At this moment, she thinks that as long as she has the power of reverse Izyoi and Luo Hao, even in the face of no matter how powerful the enemy is, they have no ability to fight with it or even the probability of winning. This is undoubtedly good news that could not be better. Come back to the real battlefield on the other side. I saw that at this time, the long spear invested by Redditch was scorching under the incomparably hot temperature. Quickly, the spear had already disappeared from this world. The victory of this confrontation is undoubtedly the victory obtained by Luo Hao. Do not. It should be said that from the beginning of this battle, Letitia has no possibility of winning. From the beginning, this battle was destined to be Luo Hao's victory. This result has not changed since the beginning, and saw this scene. The Black Rabbit who was watching the battle in the distance, she also showed a speechless expression and said, "It was exactly as I imagined. Today's third update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers." But it makes sense that guy named Luo Hao is too powerful. He even thought that he had changed his original view of the world. From the moment I appeared in this world, I have been very clearly aware of this problem. He began to find the world interesting. Thank you for reading this story at FictionZone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. First, he was evenly matched with Lord Shirayasha, and now he has successfully defeated Lord Letitia. He is simply an unreasonable fellow. I used to think that I might never meet an opponent that could compete with me in my life. And listening to High Rabbit's complaints, the one who was standing beside him reversed Izyoi. He also immediately spoke up. It can also be easily heard from the words of Izyoi. The strength of that guy cannot be described by common sense. As the Black Rabbit's voice just fell, he also showed a very dejected expression. But it was this guy who made me change my mind for the first time and even started to find the world interesting. He is quite acknowledgement of Luo Hao's strength. Hahaha, Black Rabbit, have you only discovered this problem now? Although it feels a little weird, and back on the battlefield watching his attack after being easily resolved by the opponent. Immediately. At this time, Letitia, he also said with a shallow smile, "Even your strength is beyond the usual level of a demon king. Perhaps in this world, it is difficult to meet an enemy that is comparable to you. If you are like this, you will definitely be able to bring this community back to its peak. Although I don't have the qualifications to say such words right now, but I still want to talk to you. I hope you will bring this community back to its former peak in the future." After seeing the terrifying strength of Luo Hao and Rei Hui Izyoi, at this moment, Letitia wants to pin all her hopes on these two people. And Letitia, who was already desperate for the community. At this time, she also rekindled hope, the only thought in the heart of that Radisha at this moment. That is the hope that Luo Hao can bring this community back to its peak state again. At this time, Letitia thought that Luo Hao had such ability. After all, from just now, it was extremely easy to resolve his own full open strike here. It can be seen very easily. What level of power has he reached? And the Black Rabbit in the distance. After he heard the words of Lord Radisha, immediately, at this time she also showed a rather sad expression. She wanted to say something, but she didn't know what to say. She is very clear. At this moment, Lady Letitia, what kind of situation is she in? However, even in such a situation she was. But he is still very concerned about the community where Black Rabbit and others are located. 10. Even the Black Rabbit at this time, she is very clear about this situation. However, she still felt incomparable pain. Because the current situation may have been irreversible, seeing Lady Radisha, she looked desolate at this moment. Black Rabbit also felt the pain in his heart, but he couldn't change everything, and the retrograde Izyoi standing next to the Black Rabbit. He just shrugged his shoulders again. Then he stood and said with a sigh, "Why is this guy always talking to himself, not explaining exactly what happened? It's really troublesome." He was too embarrassed to say more at this time. "You don't think that after provoking us you can leave this place, Li Zhao, safely?" Luo Hao's words are very obvious. This battle is not over yet, but at this time she was also very aware of it. Because of the expression of the black rabbit at this moment, Isyoi was reversed. Before they came to this world, the common ground must be something very important happened. At this moment, she clenched her brows tightly, as if she sensed something was wrong, but he didn't say much. On the other side, the long-distance flying bird. While speaking, Luo Hao at this time slightly raised the jet-black Zampakuto in his right hand. Then at this time, he went to speak with that majestic voice, and along with Luo Hao's voice just fell. Immediately, at this time the black rabbit, she also showed a rather flustered expression. I saw that at this time she immediately said, "Wait a minute, please wait a minute, Luo Hao. There is no need for you to continue fighting, this battle is over, so let this matter pass as it is." I saw the black rabbit at this time, she was shouting loudly to stop Luo Hao. She doesn't want to let this fight go on. Be honest, at this moment Black Rabbit, she was even a little worried if this battle continued. Lady Letitia, she might get hurt. 457 so because of such thoughts. Obviously, Black Rabbit at this time she did not want this battle to continue. After all, in his understanding, this battle had no meaning from the very beginning. And Letitia-sama, she just wanted to test Luo Hao's power. In itself, there is not much aggressiveness and desire to attack, and the Black Rabbit who has a very good relationship with Letitia-sama. At this time, she was panicking because of such a thing. This is also a matter of course, if only she wasn't worried about it. That is an abnormal thing. It's just that the voice of the Black Rabbit just fell. Immediately, standing beside him Isyoi, he just opened his mouth and said, "You are too naive, Black Free. Do you think that after that guy made such a challenge, this battle could end so easily? You don't think you don't need to be punished after doing bad things, do you?" The voice just fell along with the reversal of Isyoi. The corners of his mouth rose slightly. Obviously, as for Letitia herself, Isyoi didn't have much thought, but instead he hoped that the battle would continue, after all. Anyway, that vampire girl, she was provocative to the majesty of Isyoi and Luo Hao. Well, now she's being punished a little. It is also a matter of course. After all, in retrospective Isyoi's understanding, no matter what reason that Letitia has, it's a very outrageous thing for her to do such a thing. And at this time of the reversal of Isyoi, he even more did not want this battle to end like this. And listening to what Isyoi said, the Black Rabbit at this time, she also turned around and shifted her gaze to him, Black Free at this moment. She really wanted to refute reverse Isyoi. However, at this time she realized that she didn't know what to say, because everything Isyoi said is true. The one on the other side, that belonging to Luo Hao's family, that Ria's, she also spoke immediately at this moment. Ria's at this moment. Today's first update, ask for a wave of full subscription support, please readers for your support. After all, it was the challenge he initiated and wanted to end the battle easily. She was thinking of Letitia. After all, Ria's at this time, she didn't think that guy would be so stupid. She must have been mentally prepared to continue this battle. That is simply impossible. Do not, unlike others, and the voices of the two just fell. That vampire girl, that demon king in the little garden world, I'm sure that guy isn't that stupid. Since he issued such a challenge, she must have been prepared to bear the consequences in her heart, and back to the battlefield of Luo Hao and Letitia. Listening to the other party's words, at this time Letitia also showed such an expression as she expected. Then she said with a slight nod, "As I imagined, you did say such words, but this is also a matter of course. Now that I have challenged you, I have already made preparations early on. After all, a lot of what happened this time was my fault. Now is the time, it's my turn to take the consequences." Obviously, in Letitia he himself thinks. No matter what reason you were in before. In fact, she still felt that her approach was actually a bit excessive. Of course, she was also prepared to bear the consequences. Perhaps even if she were to die here directly, she wouldn't have too many complaints. Because her purpose and what she hoped for have already been accomplished. Just listen to what the other person has to say. Luo Hao at this time, he just spoke with great disdain. HMPH, I'm not interested in fighting an enemy who has lost his fighting spirit. Show your fighting spirit. This battle is not over yet. Let me see the power of the so-called demon lord. Don't let me be too disappointed. Luo Hao, what he hoped for was a fierce battle. Not a one-sided massacre, so, obviously at this moment Letitia's expression was very dejected. Luo Hao, he actually feel quite dissatisfied. For an enemy who has lost his fighting spirit, he may not have much interest. All he wanted was an enemy who could fight him seriously. An existence that can give him the pleasure of fighting, that was what he really wanted, after all. He also wanted to experiment. He was in this little garden world. Do not use the power of the devil. How far can it be achieved? And along with Luo Hao's voice just fell. He has also raised the black Zampakuto in his hand, posing a fighting stance. He believed that the enemy in front of him would also respond to him, posing a fighting stance, although there is no reason for this. But he has such confidence that she will definitely respond to her battle request, and along with Luo Hao's voice just fell, the will to fight was already lost. Letitia, who was ready to sit still, she also immediately showed a somewhat surprised expression. She never imagined that this man would actually say such words. Zero, ask for flowers. I thought what I had done was very irritating. Letitia, who was completely reduced to an ordinary vampire. This can't help but let Letitia sigh. How eager to fight is this man? Her strength is still not to be underestimated. It is already Radisha who is ready to accept the punishment. Today's second update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers. At this time of Letitia, she also once again assumed a fighting stance. He had absolutely no choice, thinking that Luo Hao actually wanted him to fight seriously. Immediately, since you are so eager to fight me, I have to respond to your expectations, only after the sigh is over. As soon as Letitia's voice fell, the powerful red magic power appeared on her body immediately. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net, your support enables us to keep the site running. Coupled with his huge combat experience, this will strengthen her power and become a formidable enemy of Luo Hao. Even if he has lost the godhead of the Demon King, do not. It should be this man, he is interesting and powerful at the same time. It seems that the other party is not really condemning her for this matter, but he is just longing for a real battle. Come on, let's fight a real battle and see if you have the power to rival the Demon Lord. And looking at Letitia like this. At this time, Luo Hao only slightly raised the corner of his mouth and then spoke in a low voice. HMPH, that's a little bit more like this, otherwise it's really a bit too boring, this battle. I don't want to fight a demon lord who has no will to fight. It was really boring and not challenging at all. For this kind of battle, Luo Hao at this moment seems to be quite looking forward to it. And saw that the 4 or 5, 7 scriptures are 2 people who have entered a state of battle. The black rabbit on the other side, she also immediately showed a rather big face and immediately said loudly, "What's going on?" Why even Lord Letitia started to make a fuss along with this guy is simply unreasonable. The fight between the two of them is completely pointless. We are all our own people, why should we fight? It is enough that the strength has been tested. There is no point in fighting too much. At this moment, Black Rabbit's mouth is like a machine gun spewing out countless languages. However, what she didn't know at this time was, the dignity that really belongs to the soldiers is not so easy to resolve. Since it was that Letitia she started this battle. So, there is absolutely no way it could end so easily, and standing beside the Black Rabbit, Izyoi, he also laughed out loud at this time and said, "Ha ha ha, this is really wonderful. Are these 2 guys going to start a serious fight? This is really a surprising and unexpected thing. Things are going in unexpected directions, for a good show that is about to be staged in front of his eyes." At this moment, the reverse of Izyoi, he also felt quite interesting. After all, in retrospect of Izyoi's own understanding, PJHE, in this community, there are not many opportunities to see Luo Hao's shot. After all, that guy's strength is too strong. He had to admit that even if it was the reverse of Izyoi, and as a dependent of Luo Hao, Ria's, they only showed a rather interested expression at this time. They were a little curious, except for the White Yaksha Demon King. What kind of fighting power do the other demon lords have? Do not. It should be said that the demon lord named Letitia. What is her power? This is a demon king who has lost his godhead. I saw Ria's 0 at this time. She crossed her hands in front of her chest and said with a slightly raised corner of her mouth, "This is really fun, this guy's record. I don't know how much he can compete with Lord Luo Hao." Judging from the strength just now and the opponent, it is obvious that her strength is much weaker than that of Lord Luo Hao. Even Luo Hao at this time, of course, he didn't show much strength, it was still the same. The difference is somewhat obvious. It is not difficult to hear from Ria's words. At this moment, she is not optimistic about the demon king named Letitia, and from the battle between the 2 of them just now, it can be clearly seen, they have a huge disparity. Very easily, Lord Luo Hao has already resolved her attack with a full blow. With such an obvious gap, how can 2-6 make people feel that the 2 of them can fight evenly? So at this time, she can only look forward to the injury. The one who got serious. Letitia will have slightly more power, or maybe, this girl named Letitia may have other powerful means or cards that she has not yet used, and back to Luo Hao, the Letitia 2 battlefield. Seeing that Letitia who was already posing for a fight. At this time, Luo Hao also clenched the Zanpakuto in his hand tightly, and the blade was like fire. Although Letitia at this moment she has lost the godhead of the Demon King, however, even if it was her. At this time of Luo Hao, he did not underestimate this guy too much. Even Luo Hao, he thinks that this pure-blooded vampire girl is an existence that needs a little more seriousness to deal with. After all, she is also a knight in this Hakanua world, and can become such an existence in this small garden world. All are very powerful warriors. I saw Luo Hao at this time, he said with a slightly raised corner of his mouth. Come on, let me strengthen my strength a little too. Boost, 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 boost. As soon as Luo Hao's voice fell, the multiplied sound effects sounded continuously at this time. The red light immediately covered his body, and a powerful force burst out at this time. In just a few dozen seconds, his power has been doubled several times in a row. It is unimaginable that at this moment, his basic physical ability has expanded to what extent. Even it may be that a random blow contains the power to destroy the world. Unbelievable. And feel the energy bursting out of that Luo Hao at this moment. Even Letitia said with a surprised expression at this time, what a mighty force. It turned out to be such a huge improvement in just a few seconds. It seems that the artifact he possesses is also quite rare and powerful. This man is not only powerful in himself, but the artifacts he possesses are also quite powerful. At this moment, Letitia felt the powerful power of Luo Hao, and she was fully aware of the power of Chiryude's cage hands while talking about Letitia at this time. She also shifted her gaze to Luo Hao, the Zanpakuto in her right hand. The armor that can instantly increase the strength several times, and the profit that can be released to burn up all the flames in the world. The artifact possessed by this guy is a perfect match. And along with Letitia's voice just fell. Boom, a roar came out. The speed is very fast and even the naked eye can't detect the trajectory of her movement. However, he just placed the Zanpakuto in his hand on his chest with great ease, as such a powerful attack was blocked. It's just that he was still a little surprised when he looked at the Radisha who was rushing towards him, Luo Hao at this time. HMPH, it seems that if this guy fights a little seriously, he still has a certain level of strength. It won't disappoint me too much. After all, Qilong Emperor's caged hands improve the whole person as a whole, not just physical fitness. Even with dynamic vision, Luo Hao at this time has been greatly improved. That Letitia looks very powerful, and the 457 movement speed is nothing more than that in his eyes. Of course, this is only judged from the perspective of ordinary people. But when facing Luo Hao, this kind of speed is still a little underwhelming. In this case, Letitia at this time, with an extremely fast attack, she watched Luo Hao attack in front of her. She had already flapped her wings suddenly and turned into a red streamer, running towards the Luo Hao in front of her. There is no sign of anything, although Letitia's speed is quite fast, and just at Luo Hao when he blocked the fierce blow from Letitia. The powerful roaring sound and shock wave centered on the two of them immediately spread. Even the hard dirt floor began to crack. With the two of them at the center, the ground cracked open like a huge spreading spider web, although this is only the first round of confrontation. But in terms of strength, the two of them have already spared no effort. Just the power that spilled out from the collision when the two clashed was already such an exaggerated and terrifying destructive power. Cannot imagine when the two started to fight with full force. What a huge damage and impact it will have on the terrain. It's downright terrifying, and the black rabbit standing in the distance when she saw this. Immediately, at this moment the black rabbit she also showed a somewhat flustered expression. How can this battle continue? It's really troublesome, that guy Luo Hao, why does he like fighting so much? For the black rabbit this battle is not necessary at all, because, in fact, she is very clear about the strengths of Luo Hao and reverse Izyoi and is full of confidence, but despite that. At this time of Luo Hao he fought with Lord Letitia, but it's still going on. He is extremely eager for this battle and the black immunity that can end like this. She was also very troubled at this time. At this moment she hopes to have a conversation with Lady Letitia even more, to find out what exactly happened, but now it is impossible to do such a thing. Before this battle was over, perhaps Black Rabbit, she would not be able to have a conversation with Lady Letitia at all. It's just a different thing from the panicked Black. The one who stood on the other side, Izyoi. He just had a rather calm attitude and folded his hands on his chest. He never took his eyes off Luo Hao's Letitia. He found it very interesting. Ha, sure enough, that guy still has a little bit of strength, not as weak as I thought. It's just that this level is not enough. Obviously, at this time, the reverse of Izyoi, he was also the power of Letitia who had begun to admit it. It can't be said to admit it. I just feel that she is indeed a little stronger than before. But at this level, it is far from enough. After all, he is now facing that Luo Hao first, the demon king of the Underworld. He was an absolute powerhouse that he would be difficult to defeat even if he was going back to Izyoi. As for the current Letitia, how can she defeat this demon lord of the Otherworld? And the other side is Luo Hao's family. How to get back to the battlefield between Luo Hao and Letitia. This battle has only just begun. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net, your support enables us to keep the site running. Even the dragon hand of the Qilong Emperor has not been fully released. Humph. Don't tell me you only have this level, it's again starting to shine. As Luo Hao's voice fell, he reached Qilongdi's cage on his right hand. Today's first update, ask for a wave of full subscription support, please readers for your support. At this time she also raised her brows slightly and said, I haven't gotten serious yet. It's just that if you judge it like this, it doesn't rule out that she has any unplayed bottom cards. Seeing Luo Hao at this time, he clenched the Zanpakuto in his hand even harder. Judging from what Riaz had judged so far, then he spoke up. That Letitia, her chances of winning are extremely slim. Coupled with the flow of fire, there is no complete liberation. The present Lord Luo Hao hasn't gotten serious yet, it's just that I don't know that vampire girl, what kind of cards does he have? With Luo Hao's voice just fell. Immediately, in the middle of his right hand, the caged hand of the Red Dragon Emperor. The orb on top of it had already started immediately, shining a green light followed by a strong red shining light. Boost, 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 boost. Soon, a series of multiplied sound effects. At this time it rang immediately, and under the blessing of this series of sound effects. Quickly, Luo Hao's power has also been greatly improved in this short 10 or so seconds, directly increasing several times. Even on his body, that extremely terrifying red arrogance has already begun to emerge. The terrifying, hot flames lingered around him. It's like wearing a special Fire 460 flame feather coat. This moment, if it is a slightly weaker guy, if he gets close to him, he may be instantly annihilated by the burning ash. Just from here, it can be easily detected. At this moment, what level of strength did she come to, and felt that dangerous breath? Immediately, that Letitia, she also fanned the wings behind her. Soon, it was already distanced from that Luo Hao again. At this moment, she was very clearly aware of Luo Hao's body. What exactly happened, and how terrifyingly his power increased. And at this time Letitia, she also did not have much confidence to have a head-to-head confrontation with that guy who was as strong as the devil. He thought that the improvement just now was his limit. But what Letitia didn't expect at all, after fighting the first round in just 10 seconds, his strength was once again increased several times, looking at the red arrogance wrapped around Luo Hao in front of him. Feeling the extremely terrifying aura and power, even Letitia, who is the Demon King. At this time she also showed a rather nervous and fearful expression and said, It's unbelievable, I just thought that kind of power was already his limit, but it didn't occur to me that it was just the beginning. Does his power seem to be able to increase endlessly? Such an artifact is simply incredible. Obviously, at this time in Letitia she even thought that Luo Hao could be helped by Qilongdi's cage hands. His power continued to rise endlessly until it surpassed the gods and the devil, beyond anything in the world. At this time she also stretched out her hands and covered her head, showing a very distressed expression. Then the injured person must be Lady Letitia. At this moment the Black Rabbit, she is still urgent and wants this battle to end as soon as possible. And the Black Rabbit who was standing in the distance watching the battle. Because even this guy, their power is very powerful existence. It is enough for everyone to mean a little, there is no need to continue the fight. Although he is reluctant to admit it, he is free from black at this moment. She herself is very clear if this battle continues, because she knew very well that if this battle continued, someone would be injured. Today's second update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers. And thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net, your support enables us to keep the site running. These are all speculations so far, but this battle is not so serious at all, it's just a tentative battle. And at this moment the Black Rabbit, she is not willing to accept such facts and consequences. Immediately, even if it is very clear to recognize the reasons why these two people are fighting. And with the Black Rabbit's voice just fell. Immediately, the retrograde Izyoi standing beside her, but at this time he said with a slightly raised corner of his mouth. Don't be so panicked, don't be so anxious, this battle has only just begun and everyone hasn't shown their true strength and cards. Or that Letitia's former demon lord, she only has this level of power. Black Rabbit, you don't think so? At this moment the reverse of Izyoi. He was Letitia who thought that the so-called demon lord, that guy's power should be more than that, and obviously, at this time of the reversal of Izyoi, his words were not just about the difference in strength between the two. Even. At this moment he wanted to find out something about Letitia from Black Rabbit's mouth. After all, if he had such strength, he could be regarded as the demon king of this world. That was a little too disappointing. Although the two of them have already played against each other once, but even so, at this moment, the reverse of Izioi, he is still a little unwilling to believe in the so-called demon king just this level of power. After all, the difference is really too obvious. Before returning to Izioi seriously, he already gained the upper hand. So at this time, he is also using the method of side-by-side attack. I want to try out some of that Ritasia from the mouth of the Black Rabbit. Whether she still holds some unknown powerful cards in her hand. After all, if the so-called former demon lord had only this level of power, that was really disappointing, compared to that mighty Shiryasha. Then there is nothing to fear at all, and there is no meaning of comparison at all, also as a demon king. However, the gap can be described as a world of difference. That would be really outrageous, and the voice that accompanied Luo Hao just fell. Immediately. At this time Riaz she also said, "As I thought, I was also very curious. The current Letitia, does she really only have this level of power? If that's the case, it's really disappointing. And if she only had this level of power, she would have no way to become the opponent of Lord Luo Hao. The current Lord Luo Hao, he is just starting to fight seriously. Same, at this time Riaz she also thought of that Letitia. There should also be some trump cards that no one knows about. As Riaz's voice came back to the Izioi language, she just fell. 0 ask for flowers, the long-term flying bird standing on the other side. In fact, she also had the same idea, but she did not take the initiative to say it. It's just that no matter what kind of trump card he has, now he has lost the godhead of the devil, and his power is greatly reduced. Today's third update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers. Lord Letitia, it should still have some cards that have not been used. In this same world, even an existence that also became a demon lord. She also immediately pricked up her ears, showing a look of anticipation and curiosity. While talking about the Black Rabbit at this time, he is also very curious. However, there is still a considerable difference in power. That so-called demon lord, is her power really only this level? That's right, the long-term flying bird at this moment. Hearing Riaz and reverse Izioi's question, while talking about the Black Rabbit at this time, she also shifted her gaze to Lord Letitia on the battlefield. Then she continued and said with a sad face. However, the current Lady Letitia, no matter what kind of trump card she still has in her hand, but she lost her Demon King's divine personality. If you want to compete with that Luo Hao, it is still a very difficult thing. No, not just very difficult. It should be said that this is a 460 hopeless thing at all. Although he is reluctant to admit it, Luo Hao's power is indeed very powerful. Even the Demon Lord in this little garden world has few existences that can compete with him. What a horrible human being this is. It turned out to be able to compete with and even surpass the Demon King with the body of a human being. This was unheard of before I knew the effect, even now. At this moment, the Black Rabbit still felt extremely shocked and surprised by the power that Luo Hao and others possessed. Even Black Rabbit, she also thinks that there must be some kind of unknown secret in Luo Hao's body. Otherwise, there is absolutely no way for a simple human being to fight against the devil and the gods, and with the Black Rabbit's voice just fell. Immediately. At this time, Riaz and the people who went back to Izioi also showed some disappointment, but it was such an expression. They were disappointed because they used to have the slightest expectation for Letitia's trump card, looking forward to her being able to have a little more powerful power. A relatively exciting battle broke out with Lord Luo Hao. They originally had such expectations, otherwise. Just relying on the current Letitia's power, I want to fight Luo Hao evenly. This is simply Arabian Nights. However, the current situation is a little disappointing, but they took it for granted. After all, that was Luo Hao, the demon king of Underworld. Even that white yaksha praised him. Not to mention Letitia at this moment, and back to that battlefield. I saw Letitia floating in the air at this time. She looked down at the Luo Hao on the ground who was continuously exploding with power. Can't help it, Letitia at this time. She also said with a rather surprised expression, although it has been praised countless times for the powerful power possessed by Luo Hao. Today's fourth update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support the readers. To be able to have such a powerful force in a human body. Hey, what's wrong? But even so, she still couldn't restrain the shock in her heart that Letitia was at this moment. But Luo Hao, the man, broke the common sense they had before. If so, it might be a bit boring. This is simply unheard of, and it was almost impossible before meeting this man named Luo Hao. I saw that he raised his head slightly and turned his attention to the Letitia who was floating in the air. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net, your support enables us to keep the site running, and soon at this time Luo Hao, his power has been raised to a new height. I'm the only one who can trust this community. Why did you guys take the initiative to step back at this time? It seems that everything Shirayasha-sama said is true. This guy's power is beyond imagination. What a strange and powerful man he is to have done such an exaggerated and outrageous thing with the body of a human being. There is incredible power in this man, but it is because of this man's existence. Obviously, at this moment Luo Hao, he seems to be a little dissatisfied with the other party. At the same time when Luo Hao and Letitia were still fighting, on the other side. In that Shirayasha's shop at this moment Luo's Perseus, he was having a conversation with Shirayasha. But obviously their conversation seemed to make Shirayasha feel very unhappy. I saw White Yaksha at this time. Immediately she gritted her teeth and said with a rather angry expression, "Damn it, you are such a shameless fellow." Obviously, he has already agreed to the challenge of the other party, but now he regrets it at this time. What a shame for the community, you guy. Obviously, the White Yaksha at this time in won. She was very dissatisfied with what this kid did. After all, she couldn't imagine it at all. This descendant of the great hero Perseus has such a bad character. This kind of vulgar hedonist really makes Shirayasha feel disgusted in his heart. 10. Helpless, this guy relies on himself to be a descendant of Perseus. I really can't do anything to him, and listening to Shirayasha's roar, the Luo's Perseus at this time, he really just waved his hand slightly, shaking the wine glass in his hand. He said nonchalantly, it doesn't matter, what does it matter, the dominance is in my hands. It's my business how to decide, isn't it? Obviously, for what Shirayasha said, at this moment this Luo's Perseus, he doesn't seem to care at all. To him, it seemed like it didn't make much sense at all. And unlike other guys, Luo's Perseus, he is completely not afraid of the so-called Demon King's deterrence in front of him. After all, he is a descendant of Perseus. And listen to this guy's answer. At this moment by Yasha, she was even more furious. Immediately at this time by Yasha, her brows were slightly wrinkled, only together her teeth were biting hard. Then he continued to speak loudly. You damn it guy, you've lost the name of the community. Which hero has descendants like you? It is really sad. Apparently at this time the White Yaksha, he felt extremely disappointed and angry with the boy in front of him, but even the White Yaksha beside her, she uttered such an angry shout. The Luo's Perseus at this moment. He still just put on a very indifferent expression and even moved his shoulders as if everything had nothing to do with him. It seems that this kid is not an ordinary thick-skinned nor an ordinary difficult kiss. And look at the other party's response. Immediately. At this time, the White Yaksha also showed a somewhat helpless but extremely angry expression. And the other side returned to the battlefield of Luo Hao and Letitia. After using the caged hands of the Red Dragon Emperor in his hand, he greatly improved his strength. At this moment Luo Hao, he also opened his mouth to speak to Letitia, who was floating in the air in front of him. HMPH, then it's almost time to end this fight. Anyway, you are already without the godhead of the devil, so it should be at this level, and I am almost satisfied. Obviously, Luo Hao at this time also thought that this battle was enough. After all, the Letitia at this moment, he has lost the godhead of the devil. If this battle continues, it doesn't mean too much to Luo Hao. After listening to Luo Hao's words, Letitia, who was floating in the air, nodded slightly. And listened to the dialogue between these two guys on the battlefield. Immediately, at this time the Black Rabbit finally showed a somewhat relieved but somewhat nervous expression. Then she patted her chest a little and said with a sigh, finally, is this battle finally coming to an end? I finally waited for this time with great difficulty. But I hope that guy Luo Hao, he can be a little more merciful and don't let Lord Radisha be hurt too badly. Black free at this moment. She was already beginning to worry about the final direction of this battle. After all, that Luo Hao, he was finally ready to fight seriously. The powerful arrogance that erupted from him, it can already be felt very clearly. His level of power, obviously, Black Rabbit at this time. She also took it for granted that Letitia was at this moment. That lady Letitia, she couldn't compete with Luo Hao at all. This is the Black Rabbit, the conclusion she came to after seeing Luo Hao's terrifying power countless times, and the facts will prove that. Her idea is absolutely correct. It's just the moment when the Black Rabbit's voice fell. The counter-returning Izuyoi standing beside her, he said suddenly, "Ha ha ha, hey, you are just a little too naive, since they have already carried out this battle to such a point. Then it is impossible to end it easily, and it is impossible to show mercy. It would be better for you to pray silently." Ha 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 tilde 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 as the voice of Izuyoi fell, he laughed again at this time. Obviously. At this time of the retrograde Isyoi, although he did not have much contact with Luo Hao, however, he is also very clear. The Luo Hao at this moment he is fighting, there will be absolutely no mercy, and along with the reversal of Isyoi's voice, the voice just fell. Similarly, at this time, as Luo Hao's family, Riaz also spoke at this time. Indeed, Lord Luo Hao, he wouldn't show mercy casually, especially on the battlefield, even more so, even for a very weak guy, it's out of respect, it's also your life rule. The lion fights the rabbit with all his strength, but he will not retain his own strength because of the weakness of his opponent. Obviously, at this time, Riaz also thought that Lord Luo Hao would never show mercy in this battle, after all. She has always followed Luo Hao's family. She is also very clear about Luo Hao's character and acting style, and listened to the words of the two guys next to him. Immediately, at this time the black rabbit, she also lowered her head and showed a rather sad expression. Then he and she spoke reluctantly. How could this be? Why can't that guy be merciful? He doesn't have to die anyway, really. With the black rabbit's voice just fell, she immediately puffed out her mouth at this time, showing a somewhat tsundere-like expression. For Luo Hao's life guidelines, although she didn't have much opinion in this battle, he still hoped that Luo Hao would be merciful. After all, no matter how you say Lady Lidisha, she is also a member of her own faction. Burn it, the blade is like fire. Wangs, I saw Luo Hao at this time, he said something in such a low voice. Boom! In an instant, the top of the Zanpakuto in his right hand was already burning with raging flames, although he has not given up the most powerful Zanpakuto in his hand. But even so, it still has a very good destructive power in this state, and for this battle, just this gesture is enough. Looking at the black Zanpakuto in Luo Hao's hand that was already burning with a very fierce flame. Immediately at this time, the Radisha, she also showed a rather surprised expression and said, so that Zanpakuto hasn't released its original power yet. It's amazing, this guy has two incredible artifacts. No wonder he had such confidence in his own power. Even his power is far superior to that of reverse Isyoi, but the stronger it is, the more reassuring it is. Obviously, at this time, Letitia was not only surprised by Luo Hao's great strength, more than that, he felt reassured about his power. Because as long as he exists, then the community where Black Rabbit is located will definitely be able to return to its peak. Letitia was also very surprised by the divine weapon he possessed. A human being with such a powerful power and divine weapon. The pitch-black sharp blade in his hand exudes a flame that can burn all intense, very terrifying, and listening to the words of Letitia, who was floating in the air, was surprised. Immediately. Luo Hao at this time, he also opened his mouth to speak. Oh, I've never said that this Zanpakuto is the form after it has been liberated. It's just a little bit of his power being channeled out now. If this Zanpakuto liberates its original posture, perhaps this place will not be able to stay intact. Obviously, at this moment Luo Hao, he is taking care of the safety of the surrounding environment, so he did not fully release the Zanpakuto in his hand. And even with this posture, it is enough to deal with the Letitia in front of her. What's more, the completely liberated flow is like a fire, and it is not a joke at all. And, if it really unleashes the full power of Ryu Basara fire. Even turning the entire radius of 100 miles into ashes is a very simple matter. Even this has been said in a small way. Therefore, it is really not suitable to use the liberated flow blade in this place, and heard what Luo Hao said, immediately. At this time, Letitia also showed an even more amazed expression. Originally, she thought that the self-contained pair was already Luo Hao's full strength, but what she didn't expect was that this was just the tip of the iceberg of his power. There is still a considerable distance from his full strength. What I can't imagine is this man, how terrifying and powerful he is. What a terrible man, but it doesn't matter, it is because of your strength that I feel more at ease. Obviously, Letitia at this moment. She felt inexplicably relieved. For this man, even in this battle, he was about to lose, and the same was true. But listening to Letitia's words, Luo Hao at this time just spoke indifferently. If you're still fighting me with this mindset, that was a little too disappointing. What I hope is that you will be able to fight me with a posture of desire to win. Obviously. At this moment, Luo Hao felt that the opponent in front of him could not satisfy him. This is not the strength of the other party, there is no way to make oneself satisfied. But the other side simply does not have that kind of desire to win. This makes Luo Hao even more dissatisfied. A warrior who has lost even one desire to win, then it is like a beast that has lost its fangs and it has no fighting power at all. And now that Letitia was floating in the air, her situation is just like what Luo Hao said. Now she lost her desire to win early. She believes that as long as Luo Hao's power exceeds her imagination, it is enough to be able to defeat herself. Victory was a disappointment to her, and his own failure but turned into something more gratifying. But her thoughts made Luo Hao feel quite dissatisfied. After all, what he longed for was a battle in which he could be serious with each other and show his full strength. Not someone who is just happy for the strength of the other person, such existence. Instead, it made Luo Hao feel unhappy and angry at this moment, and at the same time, the one who was watching the play on the other side, Isyoi, frowned slightly and said, "Although that guy's strength cannot be underestimated, she has no self-awareness as a warrior." She always felt that as long as Luo Hao's strength was strong enough, it was enough. Well, such people are indeed annoying. Obviously the same idea as Luo Hao. At this moment, Isyoi was also quite dissatisfied with Letitia's thoughts. After all, a person who has no desire to win. It's like he's trying to perfunctory the battle. Although she did not hide her strength, her fighting attitude was indeed hard to compliment. After all, attitude in battle, it's about respect for one's opponent, and an existence that has no respect for opponents at all. How can it be possible not to feel angry and listen to the words of Isyoi? At this moment, the black rabbit, she also showed a somewhat helpless expression and said, "This fight really didn't make much sense. If you can, it's a better choice to relax, fight, or fight directly. Now discussing fighting attitude, such a thing, it is even more meaningless." Obviously, everyone is exempt from black at this time. She didn't agree with what Isyoi said. But it was only limited to talk. She didn't dare to rebuke Rei Hui Isyoi. In terms of attitude alone, Lady Letitia is indeed a little too perfunctory about this battle. It's just when the black rabbit just finished sighing. "Ask for flowers." The one who was standing beside her belonged to Luo Hao's family. "Ria's," she said suddenly at this moment. "But if he has such an attitude, it might make Lord Luo Hao even more unhappy. If that's the case, then she's probably about to get hurt." But Lord Luo Hao, he shouldn't be that unreasonable. Obviously Gata, Ria's, who is very aware of Luo Hao's acting style, thinks at this time, if that Radisha she fought with such an attitude, surely Ning will make Lord Luo Hao feel very dissatisfied. But she infers the current Lord Luo Hao may not be angry with her because of this incident. Of course, this is limited to speculation, and now no one can say for sure about such a problem. And the voice that accompanied Ria's just fell. Immediately, that black rabbit, she is also more worried the final result of this battle. "I saw the black rabbit at this time." She put her hands together and made a prayer-like gesture. Then he meditated in a low voice and said, "There must be no accident, there must be no accident, Lord Radisha, you must be safe." It's just that although at this time the people on the ground are watching the battle, they were discussing so much but the Radisha on the battlefield. Whether she is aware of this matter, she still has to put a question mark. At this moment, perhaps in her heart, she still cares more. The strength of that Luo Hao, on the contrary, ignores his own desire for victory. That Letitia, she probably didn't have the heart to win from the beginning, although she did 463 really fighting seriously. But actually, maybe she just wants to see more of Luo Hao's strength after all, the current Letitia. She may not have much desire to live anymore. The original community was fragmented, and even the name and the flag were lost. Letitia now, maybe she just wanted to make some more crocodile meat for the community at the last moment. After all, for her now, it is possible for the Black Rabbit and the others to bring this community back to the peak of the past. She was already quite satisfied, but it was her thoughts that made Luo Hao even more dissatisfied. No desire for life. No desire to win either, only at this time, back to the battlefield of the two of them. I saw Luo Hao at this time and he continued to raise his head and speak to the Radisha. "Humph, from now on, are you still victorious without any desire? If that's the case, then it's really disappointing. A warrior who has no desire for victory is like a beast that has lost its fangs. There is no combat power at all, no matter how strong and powerful he is. But a beast without fangs and claws is at that level after all. Just like you now, Kong has a powerful force, but there is not the slightest desire to win. There is no way you can surpass yourself." Obviously, Luo Hao at this time. He also directly expressed the thoughts in his heart. He has no interest in playing any more games with the guy in front of him, because the next move is their last time, the last round of confrontation. If this guy doesn't already have the desire to win, that really means nothing at all. And listen to what Luo Hao said. Immediately, at this time, Letitia finally showed an expression of sudden realization. It is true that Luo Hao has been taught a lesson before. She has already used her greatest strength to fight zero. But it's just limited to fighting hard. In her heart, she still has no desire for victory. When she heard what Luo Hao said just now, she finally came to her senses. I seem to be exactly what this guy said. It seems that he is indeed winning the battle and he has no desire at all. And if that's the case, absolutely not. As a warrior, if there is no desire for victory, so how can she get more powerful strength to fight? This is a rather stupid question. He closed his eyes slightly and sighed. The atmosphere was silent for a while. Then, at this time of Rhodesia, she spoke slowly. 2-6, as you said, I really overlooked too many things just now. Originally, I didn't have any desire for this battle, so I was just reluctantly and perfunctory to this battle. Obviously, Letitia at this time, she is also very direct and admits her mistakes. And listen to what Letitia said. At this time, Luo Hao, he just continued to show a very disdainful expression. Then at this time he continued, speaking to this guy with a very displeased expression. HMPH, it's just too late to realize this question. While talking about Luo Hao at this time, he also continued, clenching the flaming blade in his hand even harder. Accompanied by this action of Luo Hao, his brows, which were originally furrowed together, were immediately released from this moment on. His center of gravity has once again shifted back to the top of the battlefield. However, even though he just said some words that scolded that Letitia. 10. In fact, in his heart, he has already forgiven what this guy did. If some other people were disgusted, Luo Hao felt unhappy. Maybe in the blink of an eye, it was already turned into ashes at this time, meaningless. It is room for negotiation. However, at this time Luo Hao, he was quite simple and easily forgave this guy. It seems that although Luo Hao did not say it, however, in his heart, he already regarded Letitia as his companion. Otherwise, it might have turned to ashes before Letitia spoke. Where else could she realize her mistake? And listen to what Luo Hao said. At this time, Letitia also showed a somewhat apologetic expression and said, Indeed, I am very sorry for my actions just now, Demon Lord of the Otherworld. My attitude like this is indeed a bit perfunctory for you, although I am ready to die to apologize. But Demon Lord, you seem to have no meaning at all, and you are trying to make me die. Obviously at this time, Letitia was quite relaxed, and she clearly predicted Luo Hao's inner thoughts. But when she said this, it was not a demonstration nor what it was like. She was just expressing her apology, although it is a little strange in form. 10. She also believed that Luo Hao would like Letitia's answer more. Just listen to this guy. At this time Luo Hao, he just said with a slightly raised corner of his mouth. HMPH, you really dare to say that, but it doesn't matter, sudden. I know the Demon Lord of the Otherworld, don't let me get too bored in the final round of the fight. Listen to what Luo Hao 463 has to say. This fierce battle may really start the last round of the contest. Then he continued to speak. Accompanying Letitia's voice just fell. Immediately, now that you've realized your mistake, give me a slightly better fight. He also raised the Zanpakuto Ryukonoka in his right hand and pointed at the Letitia in the sky. In this final blow, I will use all my strength against you. In his right hand, a huge long spear was once again embodied again. With Luo Hao's voice just fell. Do my best to get that, although it is a little slim, but there is still a little hope of victory. Similarly, Letitia, she immediately responded with the corners of her mouth slightly raised. I saw Letitia at this time. She tightly held her right hand, the figurative spear in her hand. The red and black magic power broke out again at this time. Letitia as a purebred vampire. Her power is actually very powerful. After successfully correcting his attitude towards this battle, Letitia at this moment, she finally started to think, what do you have to do to defeat the Luo Hao in front of you? Now Letitia, she is also very clear. His own strength is no longer comparable to that of the past. So, at this time when she wanted to defeat that terrifying man named Luo Hao, she has to work hard to figure out how to win, although it has lost the godhead of the Demon King. At this moment she is still able to burst out with quite terrifying strength. Under Luo Hao's reminder, she once again ignited her desire for victory. No, it's not just the desire to win. More importantly, the desire to survive. And it seems that the two are already preparing to release the last move at the same time. At this time, N*****R, she just continued to sigh very painful and said helplessly, It's really painful, Lady Letitia. She also went crazy with this guy Luo Hao. When the two of them simultaneously used their full strength to fight for the final blow, with their two incomparably terrifying strengths, both of them, there is no doubt that one of them will be seriously injured, so such a fight is meaningless at all. Obviously, the Black Rabbit at this moment, she was still only observing something more superficial. She has no way of realizing the deeper meaning of this battle, but this is quite in line with the character of this silly rabbit. And listen to the words of the Black Free side beside him. Immediately, the retrograde Izyoi next to her, he also said with great disdain. So, Black Rabbit, you are really superficial and stupid. This battle is going on now, can't you see clearly what is important to respect? Now Luo Hao, he is not just fighting a rather exaggerated level of battle. He's helping you guy in a way that only he himself knows. Obviously, at this time, the reverse of Isyoi, he was scolding the Black Rabbit in front of him. But like Luo Hao, he didn't tell this guy the truth of the matter. And he also thinks that he can directly tell the truth of this incident. The people around him will always be subtly changed by him. But I believe that Li Tizha, he has also been very clear, realizes Luo Hao's purpose of doing this. For Black Rabbit, it doesn't make any sense. He will tell everything in his own special way. She also turned her head slightly and shifted her gaze to Black Rabbit. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net, your support enables us to keep the site running. Today's third update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers. As Luo Hao's dependent Riaz, she also spoke slowly at this time. While talking about Riaz at this time, Riaz, she also showed a shallow smile. Perhaps from the very beginning, it's already very clear. Lord Luo Hao's real thoughts. And the same was accompanied by the moment when the voice of that reversed Isyoi fell. Only when she means it to herself will she be more aware of Luo Hao's attitude, and when the voices of Isyoi and Riaz just fell back. Black Rabbit at this time, she still couldn't react. What did the two of them mean? There is no way to react the true meaning of this battle. There is no way to react Luo Hao is doing this for the real purpose, but suddenly, as an outsider's long-term flying bird, she suddenly said loudly in surprise. That's what it is, that's what it is. It seems that I really underestimate this man. He is stronger and gentler than we imagined. But only such a man can be regarded as a real man. He will change everything in his own way. Even if 463 is not understood by everyone, it is still the case. It seems this man is really attractive. No wonder even Riaz, an excellent woman like you, would follow behind him. Obviously, at this time, even the long-term flying bird as an outsider. At this time, she had already guessed it. This battle, Luo Hao's real intentions. Perhaps he is using his own method to save this community, and listen to the words of the long-term flying bird. At this time, Riaz, she also showed a shallow smile and said, "Ha ha ha, who I am with Lord Luo Hao is not just because of his charm. His strength, his personality, everything about him is the reason I like it. But you should also be clearly aware now, Lord Luo Hao, his charisma." Listening to Riaz's words, at this time Jiayun Asuka, she did the same, showing a shallow smile and nodded. At this moment, Long Yunfeineo, she also began to appreciate this man named Luo Hao even more. This man named Luo Hao, he is extremely proud and extremely powerful. 18. In fact, he looked extremely cold and arrogant. He also has his own kind of style, special tenderness. Just listening to the inexplicable conversation between the three. At this time, the Black Rabbit, she just felt more troubled. Why is there no way to clearly understand the true, purpose of this incident even though he is so close to the Letitia-sama? What did Luo Hao do? It's so annoying, can't you tell me the truth of the matter directly? It's so obscure that I can't understand it at all. There is no way out, the Black Rabbit at this time. Lady Letitia, from the very beginning, she had an attitude of completely indifferent to this battle and her own life. It's just at this moment when he saw Lord Letitia, there was a slight smile on the corner of his mouth. Black Rabbit at this time, up to now, she still has no way to reflect the truth of this matter. Today's fourth update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers. And this is the feeling of being alone in confusion. He has already rekindled his desire for life. Only the Black Rabbit at this time, she also spoke with the corner of her mouth slightly raised. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net, your support enables us to keep the site running. Obviously, it may be because of the relationship between the authorities and fans. But from now on, she is really showing a smile of her own. Finally, when he was the Black Rabbit at this time, she realized what was going on. But from this time on, from the moment when Lizzie began to yearn for victory, even. She also sighed and continued to turn her gaze to Lord Letitia. I finally know what's going on. Before Letitia-sama, she always had a frowning look. Even now she is starting to feel troubled. Hearing Black Rabbit's words, he finally came to a realization. Immediately. At this time Isyoi, he only said with a slightly raised corner of his mouth. HMPH, I'm only reacting now, it's a bit too slow, tilde the Black Rabbit. That guy isn't your mate, right? Only now reacted to this issue. The relationship between the two of you has not reached that level at all. Obviously at this time, the retrograde Isyoi, he was still mocking the Black Rabbit's slow response. After all, that guy is the true companion of Letitia. But her reaction is still so slow, which is totally unacceptable. Only, just for laughing at it, After all, back to the 16th night, he himself is very clear, in the heart of the Black Rabbit, that Letitia, what kind of position is she in? Just though it says so, but going back to Isyoi, he felt extremely normal again. After all, the character of the Black Rabbit is like this, so sad. If she can react in time, that might just make things seem a little out of the ordinary. And it's not too late to react now. Do not, it should be said, for a simple character like Black Rabbit, to be able to reflect it is already quite good, and listen to the words of the Black Rabbit. The same Ria standing beside him, she nodded slightly and said, "In fact, there's no need to be so rude, just kidding. Anyway, Black Rabbit can react, what the hell is going on, that's enough. After all, Lord Luo Hao's behavior." Black Rabbit, she couldn't see the reason, which is also a very normal thing. Obviously, Ria's is Luo Hao's family. At this time, she still thinks that Luo Hao's actions are somewhat inappropriate. It's just that although it's inappropriate, it has the behavior of Lord Luo Hao. And it is this style of behavior that creates Luo Hao's charisma, of course. However, the originally dull Black Rabbit, it was even more difficult for her to reflect. Luo Hao, he is in the middle of this battle, the real purpose, but at this time. The long-term flying bird standing on the other side, she also suddenly said the same. "I feel like this is not enough. Even an outsider like me can find out the problem in time, and the Black Rabbit is a little too slow." While talking about the long-distance flying bird at this time, she also showed a shallow smile. She wasn't the Black Rabbit who was really mocking, she was just joking with her. Ask for flowers, after all. While talking about the Black Rabbit at this time, she also raised the corner of her mouth slightly, revealing a shallow smile. But what can be felt is this man, he has his own unique style of behavior. Then she spoke slowly at this time. But what he didn't expect at all was this man. He is more gentle than he imagined. It's just that what I didn't expect at all was the man Luo Hao, although he looked extremely arrogant and stern. I saw the Black Rabbit at this time. She turned her attention to the battlefield, Lord Letitia and Luo Hao. Perhaps from this moment she reacquainted with this man named Luo Hao. She also showed a wry smile, that Luo Hao, he was so thoughtful. It's just that he has such a gentle side, which is really a result that people can't think of at all. Today's first update, ask for a wave of full subscription support, please readers for your support. And listening to the words of the three, at this time the Black Exemption, thank you for reading this story at FictionZone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running, although there is something strange about the way he shows his tenderness. She is actually a problem child too. It's just that what she didn't expect at all was the man who once gave her a headache. At the same time, in Shirayasha's shop. At this moment, he was still talking to the man of Luo's Perseus. I saw by Yasha at this time, she frowned slightly and said, "So after chatting for so long, your thoughts are the same, still there is no change? Humph, stupid brat. This despicable behavior of yours will only bring shame to the name of your community. I advise you to change your mind for a while." 467. Obviously, he was the white Yaksha at this time. She was very displeased with the actions of Luo's Perseus in front of her. But what really makes her unhappy is because she is working hard for the Black Rabbit community. However, the guy in front of him named Luo's Perseus, he actually used such despicable means to interfere with the Black Rabbit community, and he has always displayed a brazen attitude. And it was precisely because of his attitude that she felt incomparably angry at the white Yaksha at this moment. Although she looks like Shirayasha on the surface, she is often teasing the Black Rabbit, but actually for the Black Rabbit. She still has a lot of goodwill and good intentions. And by Yasha, she is also willing to do something for the Black Rabbit community. However, from the current situation, this brat whose full name is Luo's Perseus is a bit difficult to deal with. And listening to Shirayasha's somewhat angry words, at this time of Luo's Perseus, he just continued to speak indifferently. "Ha ha ha, don't be so angry, Lord Shirayasha, you just cancelled a game, and I think it's pointless to play his game with them. After all, they have no flags and no names. The combat power is also poor, and there is no value for me to fight at all. Am I wrong?" Directly at this time of Luo's Perseus, he instead threw this question back to Shirayasha. While speaking, he also showed a very confident smile, and listened to this guy's foreign language. Even by Yasha, she couldn't help it at this time, showing a bit of a hideous expression. "Damn it, you brat." As soon as Shirayasha's voice fell, he had already stood up from the tatami floor, without any hesitation. At this time, Shirayasha had already stood up, ready to launch his own power to attack the guy in front of him. From Shirayasha's body, the powerful magic power began to rise. It was just when that white Yaksha was about to start. Immediately, at this time, Luo's Perseus also threw the wine glass in his hand to the white Yaksha in front of him. The glass shattered and the red wine spilled on the ground. Later at this time, Luo's Perseus, he also showed a very confident expression and said, "What's the matter? What's the matter? Why is your temper so angry, Lord Yasha?" At this moment, this owes Perseus, he seems to be still provoking this guy in front of him. But listening to the other party's words, Yasha at this time, he was the same, showing a very angry expression. She was already very angry and she was even more angry at this time. "You stinky boy, are you 2-6 wanting to die? Originally, I just wanted to deter this stinky boy in front of me, but I didn't expect that this stinky boy would be so savvy." Even by Yasha at this time, she couldn't help but want to really kill the stinky boy in front of her. Her rage is blazing. But along with Yasha's words just fell. Just when she was about to start, that Luo's Perseus he also said suddenly, "It's scary and scary, but if Yasha-sama really wants to kill me, it should be a very easy thing." It can also be easily seen from the contemptuous expression of Luo's Perseus. At this moment, he seems to have never put the so-called demon king, Yasha, into his own eyes. Even he simply thought that by Yasha, she really dared to do it. While saying one, at this time Luo's Perseus, he also smiled and put his right hand on the necklace on his neck. Then at this time, he continued to say with a smile, "It's just that although I have no way to compete with the white liquid added to you. But before the battle is over, it is quite easy to destroy a shop." Obviously, at this time the Luo's Perseus, although he was very clear, there is no way he can compete with the real Demon King, but it would be very easy to destroy her here. After all, the necklace around his neck, that is a powerful artifact that can summon the Demon King, Idu-5. It is also the confidence of Luo's Perseus, and listen to each other's words. Immediately, at this time by Yasha she also restrained her breath. But even though he has restrained his breath, the anger in Yasha's heart was not relieved in the slightest, even burning more vigorously. She hated the boy in front of her very much, but she couldn't deal with him. This is what made Yasha really feel extremely angry. The other side returned to the battlefield between Luo Hao and the Letitia. At this moment, the two of them are already fully united, and the final blow with all their strength is ready. At this time, Letitia, who was floating in the air, held up the long spear in her hand. "Drink!" With his roar, there was no hesitation. He had already threw the huge spear in his hand, under the terrifying and powerful power of Radisha. But looking at the huge spear that was flying towards him, in the blink of an eye, that long spear was already cracked by the sonic boom that broke through the sound barrier. And at this moment, Luo Hao, what he needs to face is such a powerful blow. Sure enough, for these guys, compared with the previous Yasha, the difference is really too great. But since the other party has already used all his strength and showed his desire for victory, without this thing your strength is greatly reduced and it is too disappointing. At this point, Luo Hao at this moment doesn't have much to say. It is no exaggeration to say that such power can shatter the stars. With an extremely terrifying and powerful gesture toward the ground, that Luo Hao flew away. HMPH, is that all it takes? Obviously, Luo Hao at this time was disappointed by the opponent's strength. Losing Godhead is a very important thing for them. Sure enough, the Demon King's Godhead 467 still has a certain degree of value. With Luo Hao's voice just fell. Immediately. He was already gently waving the flowing blade in his hand that was burning with terrifying flames. Boom, a loud noise, and from the moment he just returned to the Zanpakuto in his hand. From the position of the sword tip, the scorching flame that burns everything in the world is released. That crimson flame has an extremely terrifying temperature, even the spear with terrifying destructive power. In the face of such a scorching flame, all immediately, without any delay, just for a moment. It is already directly evaporated by the melted gas. Disappeared in this world without leaving any trace of anyone, and look at this scene. Immediately, that Letitia at this time she also showed an expression like that. Obviously, when seeing such a scene, she was already very aware of it. This battle is already his own defeat, although it is said that she has already tried her best to obtain the victory she desires most. But even so, when facing this man with terrifying artifacts and power, he still looks so weak. I saw Letitia at this time, she closed her eyes slightly, showed a very side expression and said, "Sure enough, even I showed my desire to win. Is there still no way to break through this guy's terrifying power? This guy is simply too strong." But because of his existence, the future of this community will become extremely bright. It seems fighting this guy is not a bad thing, obviously, although he lost this battle except for the slightest bit of unwillingness. At this moment, that Letitia in her heart, there is only joy left. On the other side, watching this is exactly the same battle trend as he expected. At this moment, Izyoi, he also showed an expression like this and said, "HMPH, it's exactly as I imagined." When facing the terrifying Luo Hao, Any and all power is like a joke and it does not play any role. But I can barely admit the strength this guy possesses, although he has lost his godhead. She is still able to do this, which is also quite good. Obviously, at this moment in retrospect, he finally recognized the emperor that Radisha had, although it has already lost the godhead of the demon king. But being able to do that is pretty good. After all, the enemy she is going to face is the terrifying demon king of the Otherworld, the man named Luo Hao, and the same at this time. As Luo Hao's family, that Riaz also nodded and said at this time, the ending was exactly the same as I imagined. It's just that for this world, for the current level, his power should be okay. Although Letitia's battle was lost. Wang Zhao, but at this time Riaz, she also recognized the power of Letitia. And only the Black Rabbit at this time, she breathed a sigh of relief at this time. Then she lightly patted her chest and said with a sigh, it's finally over, this battle is finally over. For the end of this battle at this moment, the Black Rabbit, she felt very fortunate, and after this battle is over. Finally, at this time Letitia, her physical strength has finally been completely consumed at this time. Immediately. She was already devoid of physical strength, and even maintaining her posture in midair was a little reluctant, and then suddenly fell down. He escaped from the Perseus community and came to the Black Rabbit's side. Almost all of Letitia's stamina was exhausted. In addition to the battle with Rei Hui, Isyoi and Luo Hao just now, this aggravated her physical exhaustion even more so that he couldn't even maintain it in midair. However, there is actually a more important reason. It should still be on Luo Hao's body. If it's just to test the strength of Luo Hao 467 and reverse Isyoi, actually, Letitia would not consume such a large amount of physical strength at all. However, even Letitia herself hadn't thought of it, the demon lord of this otherworld. It turned out to have such a terrifying strength. The safety exceeded her expectations. So much so Letitia, she didn't have any plans at all. This is where the energy will be exhausted. This is also a matter of course, and looked at the Letitia-sama who fell from midair. Immediately. At this time the Black Rabbit, she also exclaimed without thinking, Lord Tija, what's your physical strength? The Black Rabbit who just finished speaking, she had already stepped forward immediately. I saw that at this time she was flying at an extremely fast speed in the direction of Letitia's fall. Then came the Black Rabbit who came to Letitia, and she jumped into the air. Then she opened her hands, hugged Letitia into her arms and successfully caught her. However, just when Black Rabbit took Letitia into his arms, at the same time she took out a special card used to test favor and put it on Letitia's body, and when she saw what was displayed on the card, she also showed a very disappointed but as expected expression. Seeing the Black Rabbit at this time, she said with a sad face, a pure vampire girl as expected. Lord Letitia has lost the godhead of the Demon King. Obviously, at this time Black Rabbit had already guessed Lord Letitia. She may have lost the godhead of the Demon King, and listen to what the Black Rabbit said. I saw that at this time of the retrograde Isyoi, he embraced his right hand and spoke to the Redisia in front of him. Immediately. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net, your support enables us to keep the site running. She also placed it back on the ground to the Lady Letitia in her arms, while talking the Black Rabbit at this time. Well, from now on, you should be able to explain it to us why. But what really made Letitia feel sad is that because she lost the godhead of the Demon King, it caused the Black Rabbit and others to feel sad. He desperately wants to know the answer. You came here today so obsessed with wanting to know the strengths of me and Luo Hao. What are you doing? Obviously, losing the godhead of the Demon King made her feel very unacceptable. A few of them also came to the side of Black Rabbit and that Letitia. Today's first update, ask for a wave of full subscription support. Please readers for your support. I really want him to go back to Isyoi at this time. At the same time he was at this time, Luo Hao also had a reverse return to Isyoi. However, when Black Rabbit really saw such a truth, even the Black Rabbit showed a rather disappointed expression. At this time Letitia was also very remorseful and she lowered her head in shame, and the Luo Hao standing on the other side, although he didn't say much at this time. But at this moment he crossed his hands in front of his chest with a very cold expression on his face. It can also be seen from here. At this moment he also quite agrees to reverse the question of Isyoi. It's just that he didn't directly say this question like reverse Isyoi. Moreover, he also believes that such a thing does not need to be done by himself, because he is very clear. Everyone here, they will definitely help themselves to ask this question on their own initiative. But more importantly, actually Luo Hao, he doesn't have too much persistence on this issue. It's just that he was a little curious. Other than that, it didn't pay much attention. For him, it didn't matter too much. And in the same way, Izyoi's voice just fell along with the reversal. The others standing beside him, they also showed a very curious and expectant expression. It can also be seen from here. Everyone at this moment, they are also very curious about the real answer to such a question. Everyone was waiting for Letitia's answer. At this moment, they are quite wanting to know why that Letitia. Why did she do such a thing? Why did she lose the godhead of the devil? As for the black rabbit, she also asked and asked. Yes, Lady Letitia, why do you need to do such a thing? According to what I know about you, you would never do such a thing to hurt your fellow citizens. Obviously, the black free at this time, he still thinks of Letitia. The reason why he would do such a thing is because of her difficulties. And listening to the question of black exemption, there are also people's eyes. The Radisha at this moment, she finally opened her mouth to explain. I heard that you want to challenge that Perseus community, and I'm worried about you. I don't think you're strong enough to match them. So in order to persuade you to give up this battle, I spent a lot of effort to come to your side. But what I didn't expect at all was that the power of those two men was so powerful. Perhaps from this moment, I can successfully entrust the future of this community to them. While talking about Letitia at this time, with a contented expression on his face, he turned his attention to Nihui, Izioi, and Luo Hao. The original Letitia, she wanted to persuade the black rabbit to give up the fight, asking for flowers 10. From now on there is no need at all, and feel Letitia's gaze. At this moment Luo Hao, he did not say anything. And when he went back to Izioi, he whistled slightly, showing that he didn't care about Letitia's words. But in fact, the truth is exactly as Letitia said. With the power of these two men, the community of Perseus would not be afraid at all, and listen to such words. Immediately, at this time the black rabbit, she also nodded slightly, showing a somewhat helpless expression. I didn't think about Letitia-sama. It was for such a purpose that he used such a method to test the strength of the people. It's just that the black rabbit is even more uncomfortable. The community at this moment has become so desolate that it needs Lord Letitia to use such a method. What a shameful thing this is. Sorry, Letitia-sama are all of us. Only at this time. Black Rabbit, she wanted to say some sorry words for the Lady Letitia in front of her. But just when Black Rabbit was about to speak, and at the moment when the Black Rabbit's voice just fell, from the sky, a loud bang. Suddenly a huge red beam of light appeared, and this incomparably terrifying beam of light, the realm it passed through, it turned out that all of them were petrified into hard stones. This is such a terrible ability. It turned out to be able to turn all the objects that had been illuminated into stone sculptures, and this beam of light appeared. Everyone also 470 could not fully react. Soon, at this time, this red beam of shining light is about to shine on Long Yuan Bird. If she can't react at this time and dodge quickly, she will definitely become a stone sculpture. At the same time, the long-distance flying bird at this time, in fact, he had already reacted early, but just reacting to it is not enough. Because now she has no time to escape. The speed of that beam of light was too exaggerated and swift, and if the bird is far away, she has no way to avoid success. In front of this special red beam of light, she has no ability to resist at all and will be directly petrified into a stone sculpture. Immediately, the long-distance Asuka at this time, he also shrank his pupils, showing a somewhat panicked expression for this situation. You could say that she didn't feel the slightest bit of fear, but it certainly couldn't be. In the current situation, it is indeed too late for her to make any dodging moves. It's just when this beam of light is about to shine on him. Sudden, at this time in Letitia, she took a step forward, quickly came to the side of the long-distance bird. Afterwards, she actually pushed away the long-term flying bird beside her. Successfully rescued her from the beam of light. However, although she successfully rescued Jiayuan Bird at this time, however, Letitia, she herself had no way to avoid this incomparably shining red beam of light. Immediately under this beam of light, soon she has become a stone sculpture. And what happened in just a few seconds? Immediately, that black rabbit, she also showed a rather panicked expression. I saw that at this time she was an immediate panic person. Lady-sama. Obviously, at this time, the black rabbit, she had no way to react at all what exactly happened. Afterwards, at this time of the reverse return to Izioi, he also said directly. He also showed a frightened expression. It's just when everyone felt extremely panic. Today's third update, please support a wave of full subscriptions, please support your readers. And the voice just fell along with the reversal of Izioi. I advise you to expose yourself as soon as possible. Thank you for reading this story at FictionZone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. He was still clenching his fists slightly at this time, showing a gesture ready to shoot. And why did that red beam of light have such a terrifying ability to turn all the existences it illuminated into stones? It wouldn't be so good if we waited a while to get our hands on it. At this time, Luo Hao and the reverse returned to Izyoi. At the same time, the one that was already sitting on the ground was the long-distance flying bird. It's just that your traces have already been discovered by us. This is too sudden. Why would someone suddenly come to this place and attack them? It was so sudden after all. They just calmly shifted their gazes to the sky. And listening to the words of reverse Izyoi immediately at this time, everyone raised their heads in the same way and shifted their gazes to reverse Izyoi, the sky not far away from where they were located. But what surprised them was that although reverse Izyoi and the others spoke to that place, the black rabbit and the others could not see any trace of a human figure there. But at this moment, they are very convinced that there must be an unknown enemy in that place. After all, the red shimmer that can tell everything the truth just now is inspired from there. Only one saw that at this time, Luo Hao's dependent Ria's. She didn't have to wrinkle slightly, she said. That guy, he seems to have the ability to hide his existence. It looks a little tricky. Obviously, Ria's at this time, she is also very relaxed, and she can judge that in the sky those so-called enemies, they have the special ability to hide their shadows. However, if it is an enemy with these abilities, it will be a little troublesome to deal with. After all, this means that the enemy is in the dark, and I am in the light is a taboo in war. At the same time, the black rabbit at this time, she also immediately showed a very fearful expression. Because when he heard that the other party had the ability to hide his shadow, she had already reacted. What kind of existence was the enemy they needed to face? And it seems to be the leader, and in his right hand is holding something similar to Gorgon's head. And the reason why they were able to hide their figures was also because of the helmet above their heads. Shifted his vision to Black Rabbit. You can hide your figure, could it be those guys? Please complete the subscription, please follow the subscription. Today's fourth update, I sincerely ask for a wave of support. Please, all readers, please. They were all a group of people wearing ancient Greek armor. Refers to the Black Rabbit at this time, she is the voice, she said with a slight trembling. At their feet were also a pair of shoes with outstretched wings. And 470 is the guarantee of their ability to fly in the sky. From Black Rabbit's expression and her words, it was very obvious that she should know the details of the enemy that appeared this time. At the same time, at this time, listening to High Rabbit's words, as well as his nervous and panicked expression, immediately at this time, everyone turned their attention. It's just that before the Black Rabbit could speak, the group of enemies in the sky also took the initiative to show their posture. Group Ria's at this time, she asked loudly. At this moment, the enemy that Black Rabbit and others need to face is such a powerful existence. That guy, Black Rabbit, do you know the group of enemies that appeared just now? And that is the terrifying existence that can turn everything into stone sculptures. As soon as she thought of her enemy, possibly the group of terrifying guys, Black Rabbit, her expression immediately became extremely solemn, and it finally appeared in the public eye that Perseus is a member of the community. Immediately. At this time, no matter how black the rabbit, she also showed a very fearful expression. From her heart, a very bad premonition immediately appeared. After all, for those Perseus community things. Black Rabbit, she herself is very clear. Look at the group of guys who suddenly appeared. At this time, the Black Rabbit, she also gritted her teeth and said in a very difficult and fearful manner. Sure enough, it's their group of guys who don't love the existence of the Hughes community, the head of Gorgon that can turn everything into a statue. And the helmet that can hide its shadow, and the boots that can fly in the sky, it's a very difficult group to deal with. Obviously, for such an enemy, at this moment the Black Rabbit, she also felt very unacceptable. After all, the enemy is too powerful, and the strength and props it has are also very powerful. It is simply not that the community that has just embarked on the right path and is on the right track can contend. Do not, should say. The normal community has no way to compete with them at all. The difference in power is too obvious. Just listen to the black words. At this time of the retrograde Izyoi, he just said nonchalantly, "Hey, is it that powerful? No, it looks so powerful. Even the attack has to use the means of surprise attack. I feel that this group of guys is only that level." It can also be heard from the words of Izyoi at this moment, for the group of enemies who suddenly appeared in this place. He didn't care at all, and he didn't put it in his eyes. Even Black Rabbit, she said those guys were very powerful and terrifying. Going back to Izyoi, he is still the same, but it was exactly as he said, the group of enemies that appeared here. With their current strength, they would not be able to become the enemies of reverse Izyoi and Luo Hao. Even, it can be said that the level is not a dimension at all, and along with the reversal of Izyoi's voice, the voice just fell. Similarly, Luo Hao at this time still folded his hands on his chest, compared to the words of some panicked people. He stretched out his right hand and stopped the members behind him, so at this time but just when they were ready to act. At this moment, Luo Hao, he is still very calm, even fundamental, as if nothing happened. And those members of the Borsius community in the sky, when they heard the words of the reversed Izyoi, those members of the Perseus community. So far, apart from Shirgasha, there may not be many people who can become his opponents. The one standing in front was someone like a leader. Immediately those members, they also showed a rather angry expression and said, and if he uses the power of Feng Mo, he may be able to fight evenly against any enemy. They also made a gesture that they were about to start fighting and attacking. A community that doesn't even have a name is so arrogant, it's necessary to teach you a good lesson from Zhao's here. While talking at this time, thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net, your support enables us to keep the site running. Damn it, you stinky brat, what are you doing? It is also a matter of course for those who suddenly appeared and showed a gesture of indifference. Don't be impulsive, now is not the time to do it, and deal with these guys. If we do it ourselves, we will smear the name of our Perseus community. Obviously, it can be heard very clearly from the words of this leader. At this moment, it is not that the members of the previous community are not allowed to take action. Instead, he thought if their community took action at this time, it would be an insult to get their hands dirty, because at this moment they think what is standing in front of them. That community without a name is simply a despicable existence. Fighting with them will only get your hands dirty. 470 and the voice of the leader just fell. Immediately, at this time of the retrograde Izyoi, he also raised his brows slightly. There were some very subtle changes in expression. Obviously, he has an extremely arrogant attitude towards this leader. At this moment, returning to Izyoi, he felt very unhappy. But even though he said so, he still held back and did not do anything. After all, there is no situation with the other party, and if you rashly do it, it may cause some unnecessary troubles. After all, now that Radisha, he has become a stone sculpture in the opponent's hands. If you don't solve that problem now, it will cause some trouble later. Therefore, at this time, Izyoi was able to hold back and not act. After all, although the attitude is not very friendly. But actually, at this time of retrograde Izyoi, he still regarded Letitia as his companion. After all, if not so, I am afraid he had already started to teach these arrogant guys a lesson early on. Such a weak existence. How dare you be so arrogant? But this time I felt angry, but it's not just the reverse of Izyoi. Similarly, at this time Jiayuan Birds and Luo Hao's relatives. At this time they also showed a more angry expression without any concealment. After all, what that guy said just now was indeed very annoying. And the attitude of the other party is really a bit too arrogant. However, it is the same as reverse Izyoi. At this time, although they also felt the same abnormal anger, immediately at this time. But at this moment, the Black Rabbit, she somewhat ignored these problems. But although I don't need to answer your question, what I can tell you is that our Lord is going to sell this guy to the world outside Hakoniwa. Thank you for reading this story at Fiction Zone. Net, your support enables us to keep the site running. After all, it was not easy to meet a former comrade. Even so, obviously the leader's words, he seems to be deliberately saying this to provoke the other party. But there is no way to see each other again when they are together. How can this not make Black Rabbit care? The man who looked like a leader, he also responded to the other side. What did you do to Lady Letitia? They still endured. Obviously, his Black Rabbit at this time, she is more concerned about this issue. After all, the current Letitia is still in a petrified state. And listen to what the Black Rabbit on the ground said. I saw that at this time, she also showed a somewhat flustered expression and asked the members of the Perseus community in the sky.
Hello, everyone. As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500+ novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.